Hey everyone, welcome back to the Heroes World podcast, Quarantine Edition. I'm your host, Stu Pei, and I'm here with two of the owners and proprietors of Heroes World located in Markham. That would be John and Andre. Please say hello to the people at home.
Hello.
What's up, guys and gals?
Of course, I am also here with the Prince of Mischief himself, Mr. Rob Cadet.
Hey, Stu, what's going on?
Magic.
Yes.
And I'm joined by two special guest stars. That's very Job of you. Thank you. Of those who don't know at home, watch Arrested Development. Carry on. Tim Bo Slice is back again. Say hello to the people at home, Tim.
Hey, everybody.
And we have a new arrival here, a stranger to this weird land, to this, not to Moss Heroes World itself. Mike, say hello to everyone at home.
How's it going, folks?
Thanks for joining us, Mike, at Moss Heroes World, as I'm going to refer to it for the rest of this podcast, because that's all you need to say. You got to put a Moss in front of it, and you're good to go. So we are here today to talk. Part 2 will be about Star Wars Mandalorian Episode 9, Chapter 9, as they refer to it, or as the normals, Season 2, Episode 1 for that. So we'll be talking about our thoughts and full spoilers onto that at the end of the podcast. But the Part 1 is talking about Star Wars memorabilia, toys, and merch. So this is kind of a interesting topic because, you know, as a lot of us at home are collectors, as you can see in Andre's background and Rob's, he has some Star Wars stuff, and a lot of us have stuff at home. So we're going to talk a little bit about collecting, what it means to people, what do they want to collect, what to look for. So this is kind of a beginner's guide to all you folks at home that maybe have a little more income on their hands, maybe aren't going out as much as often, to what should they collect. Here's some insights from two experts, being John and Andre, and three folks who are not experts, but frankly own a lot of crap. So I'm safe to assume I can make that assumption with Rob, Tim, and Mike. So, and that is all. And I own some stuff, but not as much because I've shifted to buy board games, but that's me. But I own too many board games. So there we go. So I guess if that's all, we're gonna jump into it. We're gonna jump into, I guess, the first question. I'm gonna start with Rob, and we're gonna kind of go around and feel free to kind of give us your answer. But when it comes to looking at collectibles, memorabilia in terms of Star Wars or anything in general, like when you go to a store or you buy something online or go to the Heroes World, what do you look for in terms of condition of the item, like the box condition, like toy condition? Like what are you looking for when it comes to a new in box toy or thing?
So I'll just say that I actually don't, in this case, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that you don't see on the other side of the office as well. But I don't have any Star Wars memorabilia in terms of statues or things of that nature. Like these are just prop replicas or toys or whatever from my kids. And we'll talk about later about what I had planned to be getting this past summer. But for me, what I look at is I'm kind of, it's funny, I've had this conversation with John and Andre in the past when I was starting to build up like some of these statues I have behind me that you can kind of see here.
Yep.
John was like, you got to kind of keep it to a genre if you like. Like, do you want comic representations, or do you want the movie representations, or do you want to kind of have an intermix of things? And so I look at stuff and I really like the comic interpretations of characters and the statues. I do have some movie replica ones like the Christopher Reeve Superman statue here. And I've got an Iron Studios Michael Keaton 89 Batman in front of me. But I look for what it gives me personally in terms of enjoyment, what I think is cool. And that for me is the most important thing, is that I like, wow, I really like that. I want to be able to look at that every day and have it next to me. And so that's why I have some of my, favorite comics, mounted and stuff like that, because I just love, for me, it's just cool, man. It's just cool to see it.
Got it. Makes sense. John?
Yeah. So Rob makes a good point at kind of like fitting it into your life. So if you're a new collector kind of getting into things, you see this. If you're watching the video, both of you all just took a sip of your cup, right? So if a new coffee mug, added that to your kitchen or whatever, or if you have like one spot next to your DVDs or something to put a statue or something, I say go for something that fits into something that you could enjoy for yourself every day. Me personally, I really like the kind of like mid-range stuff, not super high-end expensive, not the kind of like novelty cheap stuff. I kind of like the sweet spot in particular is like action figures. So I really like picking up action figures.
So what do
That's
you
what
look for in action figures, John? Like if it was Star Wars or anything else in condition wise, when you open, there's a crate that comes in with toys in it. Does it matter on the condition of the package? Like
No,
what
to
is
me,
it?
because I'm opening it up. I'm not leaving it sealed. There are collectors who like things like mint in box, or like to be able to put things back in the box. I'm actually happy buying things open, loose, or whatever, because I know I'm just gonna crack them open, play with them, pull them apart, customize them, and do all kinds of fun stuff with them. So I in particular do not care if my card is bent.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks. Tim, for you then, and when it comes to collecting, are you then, in terms of looking for something new, what factors in terms of buying stuff?
I like to be able to complete the set. So
Yep.
that's a huge thing for me. And normally what that means for me is I always want to see the set come to completion. Younger as a kid and stuff like that, you could do that because things kind of came out in limited quantities. Nowadays, like imagine if I said, okay, I want every Star Wars Funko Pop. I'd be drowning in Funko Pops, right? Like they would just keep piling in, right? So to me, sometimes I wait till kind of the thing is over and then I go back to get, and I know that's might cost me a little bit more because I'm going to have to get the earlier ones, right? But that's something. So I like, if I see something, I'd like to have a full set. The other thing is I like them a little bit smaller. Like I kind of like the smaller look of things and things like that, or just even just for maybe that's because I live in a condo now, so I just want things smaller so things fit. But like even as a kid, man, like I remember, you always have all your Star Wars toys, but a huge thing to me were these guys, and I still have these guys, which are the little metal ones.
Yep.
I don't know if any of you ever had those, and they had like little play sets. Like I had all of Hoth, all of the Death Star, whatever.
Those are choking hazards, Tim. I can't believe you have that. We couldn't get away with that now. Some kid would choke and would be sued. But no, I get it. Yeah.
But so I think smaller scale, I like that just because it's cooler to me. It's like compact, whatever. But that's for me.
Mike, what about you when it comes to collecting new items? Are you the person that collects it in mint and box and keeps it stored away, or are you like John that opens it up and plays with it?
I'm kind of the weirdo that likes to get it mint in a nice box and then open it.
But you like the sensation of opening a brand new
like
the unboxing experience. Yes,
the new plastic. I photograph everything first. Because a lot of the times the packaging is incredible too, right?
Beautiful.
And then then I struggle for months before I toss the packaging away. But like John, I like the mid-range stuff as far as price point goes. The size, like I got into the 6 scale Black Series figures when they started, or shortly after they started. At first I said no, but I decided, you know what, I've been buying 3.75 inch figures since 1978 or whatever, or my parents have, and then I did. And, I've bought them all 10 times over. So let me go for the 6 inch. And I like to buy, unlike Tim, I like to get the stuff when it comes out. And then if it's crap, I'll purge it later on. And so right now I'm purging 3.75 inch figures and vehicles from the prequel trilogy, because sorry for the folks that love the prequel trilogy, I don't know, it just hasn't stuck with me. They're I don't think they're worth a ton, but there's people out there that want some key vehicles and stuff like that. So
awesome. That's great. Thanks for sharing. That's a different insight. So that's cool. Because I know a lot of people struggle with the packaging. I, for one, when I buy stuff, I'm the weirdo that keeps all the packaging. So I'm just shocked that you would throw it out. Like, how do you throw that out? Like, I just can't. Like, I have a room that's just boxes of boxes. So it's just, I'm like, I can't. What if I need this? So anyways, but
I have that
Andre,
too, but eventually it's got to go.
Yeah. Andre?
I like so basically I guess I straddle like the middle of that, because for like the smaller scale stuff, I do like to get good packaging. So for example, the Star Wars Black Series that Mike just mentioned, there's a set coming out with the Star Wars Rebels characters. They're redoing them. So I'll end up with 2 sets, one to open up and one to keep mint in package, because I just love Rebels that much. But then for like some of the other stuff, like I really like the higher end collectibles now. A lot of the statues and prop replicas, artwork, and stuff. I don't know if you guys could see in the back, but my office is all Star Wars stuff. So every picture in here is Star Wars and stuff like that. So if I see a piece of art that I like, I'm going to buy it, and I'm going to probably spend more money framing it than the picture might have cost me, because I want it to look that good. And for those items, obviously, if it's getting framed, it's got to be, no creases and stuff like that. But for my statues and stuff, as long as the statue is fine, the packaging doesn't ruin it for me. So hopefully when we get stuff shipped, the boxes are fine. But if we do get a damaged box, I most likely, if it's an item I want, I'll take the damaged box myself, so that a customer won't go like, oh, the box is damaged, and kind of complain about it. But it's actually weird. Like, I kind of like that this is our starting question, because there's a lot of stuff that has resale value. And I've been noticing now that there's a lot of people selling statues and higher end collectibles, and the stuff is appreciated quite substantially. But then they'll be like, oh, there's a damage on the head portrait, but they still want full, like almost what it's worth. And there's a listing that just cracks me up. There's this really cool statue that Sideshow did. It's called Obi-Wan Mythos. And it's a phenomenal piece. And the guy's like, oh, I have it. It's in mint condition, except I'm missing the hand that's holding lightsaber. I'm like, yo, that's practically the piece. You know what I mean? I'm like, so you're asking almost top dollar, like a couple $100 less. And like, you can't replace that piece. You know what I mean? So I'm really shocked. Like when I see stuff like that, it's like, yo, you'll be best. Should be happy to get what you paid for if you're missing or the item is damaged. Because for me, if I'm going to buy a piece that I don't have, I'm buying it complete. So I'd rather pay more for it complete. Like Tim said, wait till you can find it, or don't buy it at all. What's the point in buying that statue for top dollar and then almost paying the same amount to either custom build that missing piece, or then you find one that's complete.
Key factor if you're buying vintage toys as well.
So that was my next question, and Andre is going into it, so I might as well ask you now, because you're already going at it. So in terms of what do you look for when it comes to a used toy or used memorabilia or used statue? Like, what is it outside of having all the pieces? Is there anything else that, Andre, you look for that matters to you if you're buying something from someone else?
So on the statue scale, unfortunately, like, I've got to basically see it in person before I pull that trigger, and it's got to come from I usually ask people, I know it's going to sound weird, but I ask people where it was stored. If it's stored in a basement, for sure I'd be interested in it. If somebody stored it in their living room, dining room, rec room, and there's natural sunlight, that could really change the paint color and stuff like that. And of course, after that, it's got to be the condition, of the piece. So if it's missing parts, that's probably a big no. Or if there's like a substantial crack or damage, for sure, unless the price represents that, now on the toy scale, if it's open and I need it for customization, because I'm going to kit bash a figure, then I don't care what's missing, because chances are I might just be buying it for the feet, the head, or whatever. So as long as it's got the part that I want at the price that I'm okay paying, then that's great. And sometimes you're better off to buy it missing stuff because the price is down, if you are going to kit bash and make your own figure out of it. And John and myself love to do that. So so sometimes it doesn't need to be mint or have all of the pieces, just the piece you want.
Awesome. Rob, shooting the question to you, not in terms of just Star Wars, but in terms of buying stuff in general. What kind of advice, or what do you look for to share with people at home that are looking to maybe, didn't buy it the first in, like Tim's situation, where sometimes he misses the first run and buys it after the fact? What are you looking for when you're purchasing something?
So admittedly, all of the statues that you see behind me, They've all actually come from Heroes World. And again, I have a whole bunch of Batman black and white statues on the other side of the office that I'm not. But so I have a lot. If I'm talking about used items, we'll probably be talking about like a lot of my slab books. I have a few that are mine that I've had slabbed or graded. But if you're looking at getting into the graded side of things, or even if you want a raw book that hasn't been, you want photos, you want to know, just as Andre said, how have the comics been stored? If you're talking about floppies that haven't been encapsulated,
shoebox under the stairs,
right? Are they been bagged and boarded? Are they in the box? Where is the box located? If you're just having them mounted on a wall in your living room, as Andre said, same with statues, it does with comics, the sunlight and the lights in your room will fade off those colors. You want to get photos of the books to make sure that there's no creases if you're looking at it because you want to have it graded. People always say, oh, it's a near mint, and then you get it and there's a bunch of creases and whatnot. You also want to do references. If you're looking at buying books from other individuals, if you're on a Facebook site, if you're on eBay, but generally if you're on like a Facebook marketplace site, you want to see if people have references and what the ratings are, because you don't want to pay, $40 might seem like, oh, no big deal for a Superman book. But if it's an older book and it's $40 and then you're paying your shipping and then it's all been rolled up and bent, you don't want that either. So you just want to do your research. If you're buying things that are not directly from a store and then from another person, just to echo what Andre said, do your research, ask for lots of photos. At the end of the day, you are the customer, even though it's not within a consumer base of a brick and mortar store. You are the consumer or the customer. You have every right to ask for as many photos as you want. And then you want to make sure it gets shipped properly and everything else. And if you are selling, you don't want to be a dick either. You want to make sure that you're packaging everything properly and being honest and upfront with what you have and sending it out. So that's what I look for. I just look for when I'm buying my books, it has to be a good price point. Do your research, go to the different websites to find out if that book is worth the value or not. And do your research on the person, because there's a lot of scammers out there. So,
Good advice. John?
Yeah, I'll just add to the whole vintage aspect. If you're looking for older toys, if you're collecting for value and resale down the road, then you definitely want to buy something that's complete. And then if sorry, my daughter's going nuts in the background. But if you're just buying for yourself, just buy whatever price point. Like you can get a figure for like $2. I would get that just to have fun with it. Like if I want a Boba Fett, I'm not gonna pay like I don't remember what a vintage Boba Fett's worth now. Mike might have an idea. Probably a couple $100 complete. But a loose one with some paint scrapes, you might be able to score for like $5-10. So I would just say
right now, John's daughter's in the background trying to do a research on a Jango Fett item. She's like,
she's like, what do you think of the Jango Fett?
It sounds like she's angry because I think she's selling an Obi-Wan Mythos statue. And this podcast is like
that's exactly why that guy is selling it without the hand, because his daughter probably took the lightsaber and ran off.
So mad.
I have a Superman flying statue without a cape, but I'm asking full value.
No, it's missing the S curl. That would be the equivalent. Oh, the S curl fell off. Sorry.
S curl fell off. Okay, that's great. Tim, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not a huge secondhand buyer, but
what are you talking about? You're the guy that's going to buy everything secondhand,
sorry.
Used.
Well,
but
not
when
okay,
you're buying something new.
I would,
yeah.
To me, it has to be inbox unopened.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like especially anything that I'm really interested in, if I am buying something back, it means that there's some sort of sentimentality to me or something like that. For me, I'm always buying things in box. So yeah, that's for me. That's the big thing for me. And I would love for that box to be in good condition. So that's another thing I hate, when I get something and then the box has a bunch of dings. It just bothers me, because secondhand things I'm buying, I'm probably buying it to keep it in box.
So Tim, the question to you is, where are you buying it secondhand then? Like you've talked about how if you miss the first run, you're going to buy it somewhere else.
No. Okay, so with respect to that, it just means like I want to kind of see the set, and then I'll still look to try and find it in stores. But
if you can't find it in stores,
then I'm going Kijiji, eBay, whatever. But I still do want to try and get it in box and brand new.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
Yeah, I can't deal with anything that's not complete. So I don't like, if it's a vintage Star Wars thing from 70s and the 80s, then I'm usually okay with, I probably don't need the box. The box is cool and everything, but there's archives of that stuff online if you just want to look at it and kind of relive that from your childhood. But if I'm buying a figure or a ship, cleanliness, because a lot of these things, like
Oh,
Andre
yeah.
said,
You
storing it
bought
in
off
the
a
basement,
smoker
but
before? Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it may be cobwebs and rusted battery ports and stuff, and the stickers. And you can buy repro stickers now and stuff, right? But it's nice to get the original stuff, especially if you're paying big prices. And then making sure like who you're buying from. There's a kind of an interesting phenomenon on Instagram where there's vintage toy stores selling stuff on there, and I bought a few things from there, and I haven't had any problems. But I made darn sure that those guys were, there was lots of other people on Instagram buying from them and stuff. But it's ideal if you can go to a show, which right now in COVID you can't really, but to be able to look at stuff, inspect it. You might see something online and it looks great and everything, but you get it and then you start checking the hardcore forums and you're like, oh, this is like a reproduction gun or lightsaber or something, right? And that's not cool. So just being aware of that kind of thing.
So Mike, quick question, follow up to you. You mentioned right now, of course, we can't go to shows, COVID. But when there was a show, when there was things to go to, what were things that you used to attend, like where you could see these type of things? Like what examples of shows that you've attended in the last, not this year but previous?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the show. John will probably know, but there's the one out in Mississauga.
Yeah,
all the time.
Toy Con, I think
show.
it is. Yeah, Toy Con or Toy Force. Yeah,
it's every couple of months or whatever. That show was fantastic. Star Wars, He-Man, everything, G.I. Joes. There was another one out in Ajax too, right? And John, that was like a $5 entry fee for that one.
Yeah,
that
those are the cheaper shows. You'll find a lot of more vintage stuff there.
So both John and Mike, because you attended these shows, and that's something really interesting to share with the folks at home that maybe in the GTA, if you probably have something if you're listening to this outside of the world, but in terms of those toy shows, like what can someone anticipate if they went to the toy show? Like what's usually selling there? Is it just a bin of toys and then you walk by, it's like a flea market? Like what do you go, like I walk in, I'm like, there's Rob standing there with a fake mustache. Mr. Incognito himself is like, look at these bin of Star Wars toys, like buy 2 for $5. Like what do you
twirling
see
his
there?
umbrella?
Yeah. Buy these rainbow suspenders and like
this was used in filming of episode 4. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll find a good mix of stuff. You'll get like stores like us, like we did a toy show like a little bit before everything went down, lockdown, and we're signed up to do a bunch of new ones. So we are signed up to do the Vaughn Con that will hopefully happen in 2021. But you'll see new vendors, like new sealed boxes of stuff, new things that you'll find on the shelf right now. But you also find a good mix of either, I don't know if they're just guys getting rid of their collections or maybe they're just like bargain hunters. They'll have like bins of stuff. So if you have some time to dig, you'll be able to find like some gems in there, and there even are booths that will sell just boxes and boxes of accessories. Like I saw like the last show I went to, I saw like a giant bin, like I don't know what, like a 2 foot by 2 foot bin of just Ninja Turtle accessories that were a particular color. So the orange accessories, so like all the accessories from the Ninja Turtle vans and stuff like that, they just dumped them all in there. So if you knew what color accessory you were looking for, you could dig through that bin and find it. So it's pretty funny. I'm sure Mike can probably mention a little bit more about what you see there when you go.
Yeah, Mike, tell us.
Oh, it's I don't know, it's a lot of fun, right? It's like a totally interesting community. Like John was saying before the show, my wife tends to come with me a lot of the time. She enjoys it just for the people watching aspect of it. But
and to limit your purchases.
To evaluate.
Let's be honest.
Who wants the purse strings?
Those big
The only thing she's watching is your wallet. Yeah.
She's hanging on to it as I'm walking.
It's a chain wallet. She's just holding on to the chain as you're running around like a kid trying to see stuff. It's like pulling you back. Come back, Mike. Come back.
But I mean, a lot of the times it can be, there's some negative aspects to it. In the past, it could be pretty crowded. It gets smelly sometimes. So those things she doesn't have much tolerance for, where I'm like, I need to make a second or a third round, right? Because I haven't assessed everything that I need here yet. She might.
Yeah, it's a mandatory 2 to 3 kind of like round trip before you even start deciding what you want to grab from a table.
Right, because you'll find items one end of the room that's like, almost twice the price as another guy's selling it for, right? So you really gotta shop around. And then it's fun too to be able to haggle a little bit, especially with the vintage items, like not the new items, but older stuff, right? Or if you're buying more than one thing from a particular vendor, you can get a bulk discount. You just talk to them. It's a lot of, I find it's a lot of fun. You learn a lot talking to some of the vendors there. Yeah, it's a really good like community based
yeah, right now it's very like it's pretty tight. Like if you're looking for a figure, like they'll be like, hey, what are you looking for? And you're like, oh, I'm looking for Karate Commando Chuck Norris or whatever. They'll be like, oh, I saw them at the table at the very other end, and I think they only had them for like $5. Long story short, I did buy some Chuck Norris figures, but yeah, they're actually, it's actually a pretty cool crew right now, and it is still very focused on like some of the comic shows and things like that have become more about corporate events and movie reveals and celebrity signings and stuff like that. The toy shows still are a little bit more kind of like at their core still.
You have to be okay to walk away too, and that's an important aspect. Like you have to, sometimes when you're going to these shows, and I've been to the Ajax one because it's just up the road, you get all like, oh my God, you're soaking in that disgusting smell and sweat that Mike was mentioning. And it's like, you're kind of like, you're zoned out and you're like, oh my God, I want this so bad. And you have to be okay to just walk away and say, you know what, I'm not willing to spend it because that's not worth it.
But sometimes you'll never see it again.
And I look back and I think of the story that resonates with me when John and Pat were at the comic, and Pat was like, oh man, I really want to buy this like Megatron gun. And then he was like, I walked it, I missed it. And then John, without a beat, goes, oh, that one? I bought it. And Pat's like, what? You bought it? And it was like one of those moments where like
in the car and I'm like, yeah, this G1 Megatron, yeah, I picked that up.
Like you snooze, you lose. Like you gotta know stand by your convictions and know your count. So that was the best memory I have of all these things where Pat was genuinely like, oh, I should have bought it. And John's like, oh yeah, you should have because I bought it. So that was the Megatron gun.
It's a good deal.
It was and then that's what Pat knew it too. It's like, why did I? Anyways, so that's the great one. So the next question I have to Rob, if you had a bigger budget to just buy Star Wars toys in general, like a budget that your wife was like, here, we're gonna investment fund. This is your stock market money, and you could buy a set of Star Wars toys or Star Wars memorabilia that you could, maybe invest, buy something to sell for maybe your kid's college fund. You're buying just for the purpose of like making money. Is there something that you would buy right now? Like, is there like, is there limitation statues? Is there, lightsabers? Like, what is the thing that people should buy in your opinion? Or what would you buy? Or is it Lego? What is it?
I don't know if this is the time to mention it, but we were actually supposed to be going to Disney in this past July. And my daughter had a dance competition in Florida, and we had tacked on Disney. We had actually scheduled the Galaxy's Edge, and we booked times to go and build our own lightsabers. Right? It was going to be my son and I. Yeah. I mean, these are the nice, $50 Disney Store version, but we're talking like the $200, with the hilt.
It was like
replica.
two.
Well, sorry, it's two US. So we're
200 US,
yeah. To 300 Canadian.
We've all priced it out.
Yeah, we've all looked at it. Yeah, we all looked at it. Yeah.
And you can actually buy them online if you want to go to the Disney Store. You can buy them online. You can get the hilt, and then it was the idea that you can actually customize.
You don't get the ceremony.
It's a whole it's a production. It's almost like a small play.
To buy something, yes.
Yeah.
Just to justify the $200 purchase.
Right. So that for me,
it's like Andre will be running those at the store soon. He's closest to official Jedi.
Is what I was really looking forward to. If I'm looking at something to invest in, again, I'll be honest, I'm not like a huge Star Wars guy to actually own a piece, but there is one piece at the store that I've always looked at, and it's that sideshow Darth Vader, where he's walking up the stairs, and I think he's got like the snow on the bottom of his cape. And I've always looked at that piece. And I'm always like, man, like it's just such a nice looking piece. So if I was actually own any Star Wars piece, it would likely be that one statue.
Thank you for not answering the question. Thank you, Rob.
What do you mean?
As an investment, but sure, go.
That is an investment.
Okay, well,
it'll be his holy grail later.
Yeah, like anyways, John. Let me ask a true retailer. like if there's a line of toys or a line of something that you would have people, like if you had funds to invest in for your kids' retirement or university, what would you buy that you're reselling to make money? Because Rob did not answer or understand that.
You
at
said
all.
Star Wars.
Star Wars, yes, I'm saying Star Wars. I'm saying
fine,
Star Wars,
he's fine.
and I laid out the easy one for you, which is Star Wars Lego, but you did not take that, so you are a dummy. Carry on, John.
Yeah. I was actually.
I'm the
gonna
Andre
leave-
of the episode.
100% not paying attention. Last week you were the high of highs, and now on your
You're
face.
the golden boy.
So how the mighty have fallen. Andre's gonna step it up this game, and this is why you're a trickster. I thought you were gonna step it up, and you just, dear Lord,
Waka.
waka. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna leave the vintage stuff to Mike because I'm pretty sure he's got some good stuff to say about the vintage stuff. I'm actually gonna like Stu said, Lego right now. If you're gonna buy something new, Lego holds its value extremely well, like so incredibly so that you try to buy a Lego NES right now, it's like freaking double, triple the price. And then I would say sneakers, Star Wars sneakers. If you've ever seen them, you keep them mint in box. Like Andre's got his Adidas hoodie on right now. Like if you get any of those collabs, and if they're hot or whatever, that's a pretty hot market right now.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, that's great. Tim?
Aside from this Baby Yoda Starbucks shirt that I'm wearing from, I think, Wish, that I only wash in cold water so that it maintains
hang dry.
Yeah, hang dry. Yeah, wash cold water.
Yeah, hang dry for sure.
Inside out.
Wide hangers.
Yeah.
I would, I mean, you stole my answers too. I was hoping no one would pick up on it, but I would have done the big Lego sets. Like I see Rob has the Voltron in the back, but yeah, I had the Millennium Falcon. I opened it, played with it. I think it's all broken apart. Like I have a bunch of, back in 1999 when those Lego Star Wars came out, me and a bunch of friends, we used to go to the Walmarts before they opened. There was a lineup of a bunch of us, trying to get in to hit when the new sets would be released, right? That was so exciting. I would have paid the big money for those big, $100, $200 sets and then just not opened them, because those things are worth a ton now, man. You see them and those are big money. So, and they're still continuing to release those nice big sets, like those new,
the Millennium Falcon new one.
Yeah, but even those helmets are so nice. They have the Boba Fett helmet, the Stormtrooper, and I think maybe someone else. But man,
Black Collection.
Yeah, just keep those in the box. Ooh, those are nice looking.
But they're nice to display. Like my son's got a ton of Star Wars. Like he's got the Death Star. We got that for his birthday. A whole bunch of us got in and because it's $600, right? So yeah. And so he has that and it's on display in his room. And he's got a Star Destroyer and an X. Like he loves building that stuff and just displaying it. He won't really play with them because it's Lego, right? The last thing you want to do is carry it from the table and all of a sudden it's in like a million pieces, right? So.
Hey man, it's cross promotion. Rob, you missed your chance. Let's carry on. Let's go. Don't impede on to Mike and Andre's time. As Ned built his own Star Wars Death Star and Spider-Man, so that's another thing that people were, it's a thing. But Mike, yes, what do you have recommend for people at home?
Oh man, for an investment, that's really scary because like I'm just waiting for the bottom to fall out of everything and like no one, some crisis happens and no one's gonna buy toys anymore or whatever.
I don't. If it's not happening now, Mike, there's nothing's gonna unless the zombie apocalypse happens. Guess what? People have money now to buy.
It's going up. If you ever watch like 40-Year-Old Virgin when he sells his collection, I forgot how much he got for it. It would probably be worth like triple, quadruple the amount that he sold it for in that movie back in the day.
Yeah. So, I mean, like barring a zombie apocalypse, I think you've got to go for limited stuff and vintage stuff. And if it's vintage, it's got to be as mint as possible on card, etc. So those action figures, from 78 through 86, get those. Ships, especially if they're in the box, I think, can be kind of valuable. But anything from the prequel trilogy on, like those figures, man, those aren't worth a lot. They were super mass produced. Some of the ships, I feel, people still want those. They have a little bit of value to them. I think higher end stuff like Andre's talking about, Sideshow and Hot Toys and stuff like that, those are great. But again, if you keep them in the box, because as soon as you take them out, they're so delicate, they start deteriorating, I find, even if they're sitting on a shelf in a cabinet or what have you. And that's one of the reasons I started getting rid of a lot of my Hot Toys collection. Is
They'll even make a newer, better one typically every couple of years. Feel like,
super
oh, there's a better
frustrating
Darth
too.
Maul now. Now I got to unload my old Darth Maul. Yeah. So if you stick to the 70s vintage,
Exactly.
like you said,
Yep.
that can't be replaced. It's
Yeah.
gone.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a
I think-
well, yeah. Oh, perfect. Andre, go for it. Because
You know
the next, you can imagine what the next question after that's going to be after Andre answers it. But you can do both if you want right now. It's up to you, Andre.
I was just saying, like, I think, to be honest with you, like, I think with the newer toys, like Mike said, if you're not getting something that's limited, a lot of the new toys, they make so many of them that to invest in it, it's such a short-term investment. It would be like, buy it now for $30, sell it in a month or two for 60, because a year from now, nobody's going to necessarily want that because there's going to be a better one. But John did mention like the shoes, and I know it's not related to your question as much, but I think if someone was going to invest into Star Wars stuff in particular, the collaboration stuff like the Adidas, those Columbia jackets, oh my God, they're doing a set of Mandalorian ones.
Yep.
And as
Not
a
even on
Star
eBay,
Wars
they're
fan,
gone.
For the past 3 years that they've done it, I haven't come close to getting any of them.
No,
And
it's
I'm online doing it and stuff like that, and I've got disposable income, but like that stuff, it's gone and it holds its value. Like there's people gonna buy that Columbia Princess Leia Hoth jacket. Damn, that money, it's money. So not quite your question, but
Andre, it's perfect because again, it's merchandise, it's collectibles, and that is what it
even
is.
the thing that Andre's wearing right now, you can't get it. You can only buy a knockoff off eBay.
Yeah.
You can bid on Andre's jacket in the comments.
No, you can't.
It depends, Andre. Don't if someone drops some money on you, you don't know what's gonna never.
Just put your offers down.
As the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase said, everyone has a price. So let's just wait and see what that price is, Andre. But yeah, outside. So that's great in clothing and whatnot. I think it's good if I follow back to you. You did mention a little bit briefly, but what's something not to invest? Like if you're just buying it for the love, buying those toy sets is great, like a collection. But what's something that you shouldn't invest in if you're trying to make money for your kid's university fund? Like what's not worth value? If you buy it, you should collect it because you love it, but not necessarily like it's gonna make you obscene profit. You might just break even. Is there stuff right now that's like that?
I think unfortunately, a lot of these Baby Yoda Funko Pops in different sizes and stuff, there are so many that I don't think it will get to that like golden grail of like Cabbage Patch Kid value or something like that. Like there's so many, so it's just like you either buy that because you want your kid to play with it or you want to open it up. But don't buy it. Think, oh my God, 20 years from now, this Baby Yoda is going to front my kid through college. No, nobody's going to remember it, or everybody's going to have a dozen of them. So
that's great. That's great. And in terms of hot toys, because as Mike mentioned it too, do you think we've hit the wall in terms of as a retailer? Because we generally have a lot of them kind of floating around, and as John mentioned, they get better and better each year.
Yeah.
Even the Marvel ones. Like, is it worth it to like buy it because you love it, but don't buy it and like
3 different Thanoses.
Sell it for anything.
You buy it because you love it, and you buy it because you want to display it. There are some rare instances of hot toys where either they've lost the license, and then the ones that are done shoot up in value. But like if it's like a Marvel or a Star Wars where they will continually like there's going to be Vaders until we're blue in the face and stuff like that, right? Not saying you will necessarily lose money if you keep it mint in box and in the shipper, but why spend $400 or $500 today to only get that $400 or $500 2 years, 3 years from now? Like you know what I mean? Now again, if you've opened it and enjoyed it and you say, okay, well now I want to move on and I get close to what I paid, that's a different story. But I don't think you would be like, oh, I'm going to buy this, keep it in my basement so there's no light in this, and I'm going to flip it later. Because even people, unfortunately, when Carrie Fisher died, they were like, oh yeah, the Princess Leia original white gown with the buns, that's going to be worth a lot. It didn't really go up. And they made other Leias, and they continue to make them, and they still got her likeness, and they will get better. Unfortunately, we as a store, we saw I gotta say death, John, is that the right word? The death of the prequel stuff, not the prequel, the sequel stuff.
Mhm.
Man, we had all of that stuff and we took a bath. Nobody wanted those first order troopers. Nobody wanted Kylo Ren. Nobody wanted Finn. Nobody wanted Rey.
Mhm.
Like, we thought, oh, it's Star Wars, we're gonna get the whole line or whatever. And yeah, the bottom just fell out of it. So
Mm.
there's definitely a nostalgia power to Star Wars and cool looking stuff. But I think in order for people to spend the type of money that Hot Toys demands and Sideshow products demand, is that they have to have an affinity and love those characters to say, I am going to spend this amount of money. And I don't think I don't think the sequels had it. Yes, we sold some Rays and some Fins, but I don't even think they did a Poe Dameron. John, did they do a Poe Dameron figure for Hot Toys?
I don't believe Hot Toys
Yeah,
did,
they
but
didn't.
I
So
could be wrong.
So it's just like they really didn't do, and I don't blame them. Because literally after the first movie, it was just like, yeah, this stuff wasn't selling. So I bet you even Hot Toys probably took a little bit of a bath on it and said, yeah, we're only going to keep doing Han Solo and Boba Fett. Well, now they're going to print money with Mandalorian stuff because everybody's loving that. So the people will buy 7 different Mandalorians and different colored armors and stuff like that. Sure. but yeah, we'll see. I don't think they will all appreciate in value though.
I'm telling it right now that spoiler alert for the next the other side, but John and myself are definitely going to buy a certain Mandalorian in a costume in the future. I'm 100% down on that. Just so I could have it. Okay, Rob, to you then. Is there stuff that you don't recommend that people buy if it's in terms of reselling?
I think that you go into the collectible game wrong if that's your intention. Do you know what I'm
this
saying?
question specifically is for that. Like we've already mentioned that, but
no, I know, but no. But
this exercise is about like what not to buy. Like if you were just trying to do it.
But the problem is that that is a moving target because people's tastes change. And I'm talking about consumers' tastes change all the time. Sometimes, like Andre said, Star Wars stuff could be really popular, then it can wane a little bit, and then the next thing kind of comes up, or Avengers toys come up. Like the market is always fluctuating. So and that's why I think it's important to say, like, if you're getting into this thing just because you think you want to make a quick buck and flip it, I think it's in the wrong area. Listen, I've got books on my wall that I know appreciate in value and that they will de-escalate. I've got a Saga #1 that was worth $500, a few months ago, and now it's like worth $350. So these things they move around. So that's what I'm saying is that if I can't tell you what not to invest in, because I think that there's a value in almost everything people purchase. But if you're doing it for the sole purpose of wanting to flip, it's the wrong idea.
Okay. I will let you live on for that comment and go to John.
Yeah, no, Mike nailed it right on the head. The episode 1, 2, 3 stuff was produced in such abundance that it's not really going to have, you're going to find those in the $2, $5 bins. And Andre also nailed it on the head with the new Force Awakened newer trilogy, like especially if John Boyega and Daisy Ridley are going to step away from these roles, those characters probably will not be as sought after. Like the designs, like First Order Troopers, like actually everyone really likes the design, so I think those are going to hold up. And some of the other like armored people tend to like a lot of the Star Wars characters that are wearing, like stormtroopers seem to be like you can't do any wrong. But I think Mike's got it right on the head, right, with the episode 1, 2, 3, just because there's so much of it.
Yep, perfect. Tim?
Yeah, I agree. I think I would not be purchasing anything aside from the original trilogy if you're looking to make money. And then the other thing, I'll throw out an easy one, but don't invest in like limited edition Star Wars video games and stuff like that. That stuff is not going to make you money. Even though I'm all in on the collector's edition for the next Lego Skywalker Saga game that's coming out next year. But those things, that's
for
not
you
a good
though. That's
investment.
you personally.
And that's an important point that you mentioned, Tim, is that because it's limited edition doesn't mean that someone's going to buy it after the fact, or it's limited edition special to you.
I will say this, because a lot of the limited editions for video games have busted and fallen in. They are now doing region exclusives of limited editions, and I'll say this: I tried to get the limited edition for Jedi Fallen Order, and it was only available in the UK at a store called Game. and they would not ship outside of the UK, and I still cannot find that on eBay or anything for a reasonable price. So I would pay more money for that. It might not have shot up, but because it's a region exclusive, I think some of those things will have a value or hold their value more than, say, if they were doing, because there's not a lot of super exclusive big editions anymore, because I think the video game companies lost their shirts on some of them because people didn't buy them. And that one in particular for me,
and that's a great point, Andre, because if you watched one of our previous podcasts or videos with Pat, and he brought up his limited edition like Pokemon from Japan, or like these things from like certain regional tins that he got that were like that maybe is something of resale, but standard issue stuff here, maybe not necessarily.
Yeah, and I'm specifically also talking about Star Wars. Like I just feel like in the Star Wars world of what we're collecting and the potential, and the question is like, what Star Wars stuff should you not buy as an investment? I'm saying the video games. And there's like, to Andre's point, there's going to be some that are going to be harder to get and stuff like that. But over time, those things are not going to increase in value.
That's an odd
like
one.
everything else we've been talking about.
Mike, as you're finishing off.
For what not to buy.
Anything to add? Because I think you started the train. You added a lot on it. So
no, he already hit it.
I think it's mostly been covered. But one thing that Andre was kind of hitting on, I think, is like if you're buying stuff and you get some enjoyment out of it, it's almost like a lease or a rental or whatever, and then you can flip it. It may appreciate a little bit in value, and if you get your money back for it or a few dollars extra, and you've had fun with it, that's a cool way to go about collecting, I think, and it's kind of what I do a lot of.
Awesome. Great. And as we carry on the next question, so my question to Rob as we start off is, what's your most prized Star Wars memorabilia / collectible item that you own? What's the one item that you have that you're most proud of, or that is your most prized possession?
He has a Han Solo and carbonite in his bedroom.
My wife's in carbonite.
Whoa, kinky.
Well, whoa. We have to put it in mature 18 tab all of a sudden, or 19 tab.
I don't know what my most prized possession or my most prized collectible is. I will say this Voltron, I have the box. I mean, you guys have already seen, I've always had it up before. My kids got me that for my birthday a number of years ago, and we got to build it together. Because again, I said before, my son's a huge Lego fan. So, I guess for sentimentality reasons, I would say that I would never part with that Lego Voltron, because I think it's just I was a Voltron kid. That was my jam, and my kids got me that as a birthday gift. So in terms of, that'd be my most prized possession. If we're talking about financially, it would be definitely one of the books I have.
Star Wars. Did you not listen to any of this?
No, but you said Star Wars or collectibles. I don't have any
Star Wars collectibles. Star Wars collectibles.
I'm gonna rage.
It's not like you had these questions beforehand or anything, but you know what? You had the Rob. You could have done the classic. I got nothing, and you missed it again, Rob. You went from a 10 to like a 1. What is your most prized Star Wars collectible merchandise? What do you got? Anything? Is it the Darth Vader helmet?
Yes, it's a Darth Vader helmet too. When it comes along with a
I think he makes a good analogy with sentimentality, though. Like if there was something sentimental associated with Star Wars,
help him out, John.
It's a great story. I appreciate it, Rob. But yeah, okay.
I'll punch you in the face when COVID's over.
Ding dong.
What you don't know is that Rob's son dressed up as it, and Rob's gonna have it either show up at my house or at John's house in the next 24 hours as revenge. Be like, Noah, get in the damn car, get your costume. What's happening? Doc. And then the slow walk is gonna come, and then we're just gonna piss in our pants. So thank you, Rob, and please go to John's house first, so then John can warn me. So is the Darth Vader helmet? Is that the most prized Star Wars possession?
Yes, that's it. Thank you for asking.
John,
In Rob's defense, he would have had the whole building the lightsabers at Disneyland, and then that
Yeah, that
would
would-
have been his
and
answer,
yeah,
if
yeah.
not for this pandemic.
Yeah, because that would have been a story about him
like-
doing it with the
mhm.
son.
like the
and- yeah, no,
memory
100%.
and the collectability. I'm
100%.
actually going to go. I'm going to take a little bit from Rob, and I'm actually going to go with kind of like an attachment and sentimentality, which is my Star Wars Legion stuff. So that Star Wars Legion is a miniature game
Mhm.
that you build and paint the guys. So I've built it all myself. I painted it all myself. And before this pandemic happened, I was playing customers in the store on the regular every week. So I really kind of cherished those games that I got to play with those guys, because I don't get to play a lot of games with some of the guys. So I really did go all in for this game. So seeing my army and remembering, the time that my Luke went up against, Greg's Vader or something like that and lost, or I got taken down by Sabine, like Mark Sabine or something like that. Like that means a lot to me right now. So
Awesome. Tim?
Most cherished, not of value, as I just found out. Thanks a lot, Mike. But is probably this guy. It's my very original Boba Fett.
that's
Still
money,
has-
man.
Still has the gun, the perfect gun.
With the
Not
pistol.
missing his hand. Not missing
You
his
have the
arm.
rocket
too.
for the
Yeah.
jetpack?
all the hand, yeah, the jetpack is there. Doesn't come
See,
out.
this,
This thing
this is
doesn't
near
come out.
complete, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just and for me, it's, I mean, aside from that, it's so cool, but it's the sentimentality of it, because obviously this was like one of my very first characters that I probably ever bought as a kid, like probably when I was like around 2 or 3 years old, and I just remember playing with that guy like all the time, and I've kept a lot of my characters.
2 or 3, and you still have the pistol and the missile.
Yeah, I have,
And he's
I have,
still all in one piece like that.
Yeah,
I'm amazed by that.
yeah, but I mean, I don't know if he came all faded like this. Like, I don't know if you can see, but I don't know if that's me fading it but it looks pretty cool.
It looks pretty good to me,
yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah, and so I still have my box of a bunch of the figures. I have some of the ships as well, and they're not really in great condition, but this guy has kept well, so I'm happy for it, and that's mine.
It's family heirloom. Pass it
There
on.
it is,
Mike?
Yep.
Like Tim, man, I've got all the toys
Mm.
that my parents ever bought me
Mm.
from 78 to 86, the original Star Wars stuff. So whatever I had then, I still have it. I still got the original Millennium Falcon with the little Jedi training ball and everything. And I got the Death Star, still got the sponge and the trash compactor and all that. So
What? All the parts? What did you guys do with
yeah,
your
man.
toys?
The
Just store them
little
away?
swinging rope and stuff there, the plastic rope. Yeah. So that stuff, I understand that's like a big swath of stuff. So a couple of things I didn't have when I was, or like a line of figures that I didn't have when I was young, was the 12-inch Star Wars figures. So I started collecting those recently.
wow,
so
that's
So
classic.
is that your most prized possession then, or like what is?
yeah,
what is
I'm
the
gonna
one?
go. I'm gonna go with Boba Fett. He's
Yeah.
my favorite
Yeah.
character. He's always been like big. He's the only thing he's missing is the Wookiee braids on him.
Man.
But I remember there was this kid that lived around the block from my grandmother, and I remember going and playing with him whenever I was visiting, and going down in his basement, and he had
Call him up,
this,
see if he still
sitting on the
has it.
shelf, and I was like, "What is that? Why is it so big?" Because mine were,
Yeah.
like, yeah. So I got him, and then I picked up the Vader.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
when I started getting these things, I was like, yeah, I can get rid of my hot toys now, because I don't know, these have a little bit memory and sentimentality.
That
to them.
nostalgia, yeah.
Andre, what's
Wow,
your number one prized possession?
I have
Andre's got too many.
Star Wars
One, because we
sentimental-
were running out of
So,
time, Andre.
I know. So I will show my one right now. I don't know if you guys can see it in the background, but this bad boy right here.
Nice.
This is Hera's Calicori from Star Wars Rebels, life-size prop replica, and I got to tell you the story on how I got this is one of our customers and really good friend, Michael Grove. He was at Galaxy's Edge, and he called me from there, I guess long distance or whatever. And he's in the shop, and he's like, "Andre, do you want anything?" And he sent me videos of the wall and stuff. And as a
All of
Star
it.
Wars nerd, like I want to go. Like this was I still want to go, but COVID and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But what a big thing for Mike to not only offer to get me something, but bring it back. And this thing, you can't really tell, but it's actually heavy, and it came in a great big box. and stuff. So not only is it special because I love Rebels, but it was special because another good friend and Star Wars fan knew how badly I wanted to go, thought of me, and brought it back and stuff. And I love the piece, and it's so it's just got all those things for me. And it's also like, I don't know if it's one of those things that the Disney store there will continually produce. So if I never get to that Star Wars land, I may never have got that piece. So I think down the road, it's going to I'll always have that memory, and it's it's just something that I truly cherish.
Awesome. That's a
That's
great
a good
story,
friend, because if I had gone, Andre, I just would have taken photos of me with all that shit and sent it to you.
With a picture of him
But I
holding
wouldn't
it.
have offered to buy it for you.
Yeah.
I would have been like, hey,
What
this is
a
you like
dick.
this? I'm just me with it. That's it.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks.
Thus, people at home know why he's the trickster. So let's jump over to the next question. What is the Star Wars merchandise now is on everything, whether it's on Ziploc bags, chocolate, greeting cards, all the bananas, yeah, everything. So what is the weirdest / dumbest Star Wars collectible / Star Wars thing on something that you have bought on a whim, Rob? Like you saw it in a store, you're like, yeah, okay, I'll just buy it.
Bag of Doritos.
Nice.
I know it's absolutely.
But who's on it? Well, who's on
I
the
didn't
bag
even
of
want
Doritos?
Doritos at the time.
Well, I bought, there was Rey on one bag, and then there was Kylo Ren on another. And for whatever reason, I thought this is so funny, and I just kind of put them on the shelf next to each other. Like, and it was just, I mean, I ate the Doritos, but I'm not a big fan of zesty cheese, but Rey was on the zesty cheese.
That's my favorite.
That's the best one.
Bravo.
Well done, Rob.
Rob,
He's redeemed himself.
You're recovering. You're redeeming yourself. You're now at a good 3.
Were they
John?
replaced with the Wonder Woman ones after?
There was Guardians probably. Then goes that one, but
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, I have the cereal boxes, the Batman v Superman cereal boxes, just to have on display for no other purpose. So yeah, I will, John. When the Wonder Woman ones come back out, I'll get them and take photos of them as well, and then I'll eat them.
They're gonna redo them when the movie finally comes
John,
out.
wrap it up. Come on, let's go.
I don't really have anything weird. I did get the ice cream silicone ice trays, the silicone trays, and I think I just didn't use them properly. Like you're probably supposed to put chocolate or something in them. I literally just poured water into it and made a giant R2D2 ice cube that was like this big, like a 1 foot by 1 foot, and it was done.
That's
And like
awesome.
you can't put it in a pitcher. You can't put it like, what were we supposed to do with it? You just put it on a plate and watched it melt. Like, I don't know.
Okay, that's perfect, John. That was worth it. That was worth everything. That was great. Yeah, I know. I saw those things, the silicone trays. Yeah, it's made for cakes. Who knows, John? That's good to know. Next time, Jello. Maybe that's it.
I'd say yeah. It didn't fit in my cup. Nothing. I couldn't pour Jack. I guess I could pour Jack
Hello
Daniels
with,
on it.
Yeah,
Like-
vodka in it. Yeah.
Tim.
I had the Ziploc bags. I did have the Rey Ziploc bags, and they were pretty awesome. I remember seeing them. They were in like some
Mike had a sealed pack. Mike just whipped out a sealed pack.
Yes.
That's the best. He just had them behind him. That's hilarious.
Did you actually use them, or they're just there for? Did you put Star Wars stuff? What do you use them for? Just regular Ziploc bags?
He put a sandwich and carrot sticks in it.
No, I was just using it for my normal lunch bags. Man. It was awesome. I was the coolest guy in the office for sure. And
Real
doesn't
collector
take much to
with
be
the
the coolest
action
guy at
figures.
Travelers, Tim.
Yeah.
Let's
With the
action figures,
you and
that's
Rob
what
are the coolest people there. So let's continue on.
yeah, no, that's it. That would be my thing.
Mike, clearly we saw the Ziploc bags, but yeah.
Yeah, I put the action figure accessories in them.
So good.
Hey, if it works, it works. Yeah.
Sometimes you see the weird collectibles out there. They appear on the internet. There's that famous ET finger that
The Batman with the water pistol in the crotch.
Yeah. So back in the original trilogy day, I was on the Outlook. I was just looking out for those kinds of things, and there was this Jar Jar sucker, but it was encased in the Jar Jar head, and you push the stick the sucker is attached to, the head opens, and the tongue comes out, Jar Jar's tongue, and that tongue is the candy. Which
You bought that?
I bought it because I'm like, who else is going to buy this? Is some mother going to give this to their kid?
Yeah.
And like the kid, anyone eating that thing is like making out with Jar Jar. It's weird. So I had to buy that thing, and I still got it in the basement someplace. So I think the tongue is starting to deteriorate and like it's all turning to mush. But
I recommend not eating it, Mike.
Amazing. Probably not safe to consume, but there are the stories
I
of
don't think
those.
you can top the Ziploc bags, but
To be fair, I'm sure there's a bunch of us who had those Star Wars Pepsi cans, Andre, back in the day, whereas like and probably a lot of them are not open. So God help us, the sludge that's in them right now. Andre.
Just on a side on that, I had all the Simpsons Pop Cans back in the day when Walmart released them, and I had saved them all, and they all just totally dissolved right through the can over like the years. I was like,
yeah, you got to empty them. You got to.
I drank the other 23 of them.
Oh God!
And I'm like, I'm in big trouble here because it just ate through the can.
Yeah, I know. It's acid. That's what pop is. Yeah. But it's carry on. Andre.
I don't usually tend to buy a lot of like kind of the useless ones. So I will say I did look at the Chiquita bananas that had the Star Wars sticker on it.
Yep.
But I think the kind of craziest thing that I bought was a R2D2 calligraphy pen. And I'm like, why a calligraphy pen for Star Wars? But I was just like, it was R2D2. Yeah. I'm like, this is cool. And it was, I think it was a Stadler pen.
Document signing.
So it's just really cool.
I'm looking forward to letters that you're going to send to us. Dearest Rob, you suck. Cards. Love, Andre.
With every Heroes World Online, Online order, you get a calligraphy thank
Andre
you letter.
Calligraphy.
To be fair, Rob would probably frame that out as well. So maybe consider that for a Christmas gift, Andre.
He'll get it graded because it's got my signature.
Dearest Rob, the Warfront.
1.5.
Yeah. Okay, so that was fantastic. That was great. In terms of, here's a question that will work out well for Rob. What is the coolest Star Wars collectible, the coolest thing you've ever seen that you could never own?
Ooh. Well, I'm going to go back to the statue in John and Andre's shop. That Darth Vader statue is amazing, and it's I'll be honest, it's outside of my allowance that my wife
100%, yes,
right,
yes.
That's really what it is. I'm only allowed a certain amount of money to spend on
it elevates your collection. Then you got to start buying all figures in that range,
right? And that, so I love going into the shop, and I love looking at that statue. It's great. It would make an amazing piece in somebody's house. It just unfortunately will never end up here.
For all you insurance nerds out there, Rob essentially it's claims level 1. He doesn't have the authorization to go to claims level 2. He doesn't have the check marks to go above a certain count. So though, for all you insurance nerds out there, he only has authorization for so much money. John, what is it to you?
A quick shout out to Ken Lashley. Did this event back in the day where he drew artwork all over. Yep. Sorry, Mike. Mike can jump in on here too.
You took mine.
He drew all over this car. I think it was a Scion TC or something, or TB or whatever. And I would definitely love to have that in my garage. That'd be cool.
Tim?
As a kid, I had a game, and I've always looked for it just to see. Now I haven't like scoured the internet, so I'm sure it's like one click away if I really try. But maybe
Stu probably has it.
Yeah, maybe someone in the comment section can let me know where I can get this. But it was a box, like a square, like about that, and it was about that deep. And when you opened it, it was actually the Sarlacc pit. And then you had Jabba's skiff on top of the pit that like went down, and you had the little characters, and you would. Like, I forget the game. It was, again, like when I was 3 or 4 years old, but it was, or no, it must be later. But you would play with the characters, and then when you would kill them, they would drop off the skiff and then slide down into the little cardboard Sarlacc.
I had it. I'm pretty sure I had it.
Yeah, that was so amazing. And of all the stuff I have,
it was not that great.
I don't know where. Yeah, but it was, I just remember it. And of all the stuff I still have, like at my mom's place and stuff like that, that's not there. Like, I don't know where that went, but I'm so disappointed. And I would love to see that again one time. But the old vintage one, I would love to see that.
Mike?
Yeah, that car that John Ken Lashley drew all over, man. That thing was awesome.
We could
man.
share it,
Like,
Mike. We could share it. We could
yeah,
alternate.
we'll-
we,
we'll
we've
post-
talked about limit.
Post the pictures on Instagram and
Yeah.
we'll see it again. We'll tab it
We've
over.
talked about limited edition stuff, right? Like that's one of a kind.
Yeah.
But other than beyond that, I mean, we're all collecting various size action figures, but I don't know who produces them. Sideshow sells them, I guess. Maybe they produce them, but the life size figures,
Yeah.
Star Wars figures, man, like, can you imagine having a complete collection of those?
Shout outs to Bruce, who
So,
hopefully will have on this
shout-
podcast. He has
yeah.
them in his theater room.
Yeah, and actually,
Wow.
there's a friend of mine that Andre and John know, and he's got life-size
Yep.
K2SO statue.
Shout
He's
outs
got
to
a
Chris.
life-size Boba. Like he's got a lot of these life-size statues, and I go to this basement, I'm just like, like it's unreal. So yeah, those are great.
Andre, to you, what is the thing that the coolest thing that you could never own?
So my favorite character is R2, and there's a life-size movie accurate prop replica, lights up, moves, and everything. It's
Sold
about
at Galaxy's Edge.
It's about $5,000. So maybe
I told him to go for it.
maybe one day.
I remember he was looking at it, and I was like, just go for it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So no, that's great, Andre. Which will lead into some more questions along the line because we're running to an end on these questions. But Rob, to you then, the Holy Grail collectible Star Wars thing, the one thing that you've been searching for, wondering, looking for, but you've never found at the price you're looking for, or at the kind of the condition you're looking for. Is there one Star Wars Holy Grail thing that you are looking for that you cannot get at this time?
The only I'm just gonna say, and you're probably gonna just discount my answer, but it's that build your own lightsaber from Galaxy's Edge. I can't. It's my grail
it's
right
fine.
now.
Yeah,
because
it's-
I can't get to
Yeah,
Florida.
you can't.
No,
there's no way
100%,
to get
that's
it right
fine.
now.
Yeah,
It's that
That's
expensive.
my
You can't
grail.
get it.
That's the thing that I was looking forward to the most. That's it, and that's my goal. Hopefully, December of 2021, we'll get back and be able to get it.
100%. That's a good one. John?
Yeah, Hasbro Pulse or their HasLab has a Razor Crest right on their site right now. It's about 350 USD. That is a 3-inch version of basically the Mandalorian ship right now, and has a full interior detail. It's got room for 3 dudes in the cockpit. It's got the storage container at the bottom with all the carbonite slabs. It's got the weapons locker. It's got like so much stuff, and like I don't know what I would do with it because it's not even in my lane. I don't collect the 3-inch dudes. I collect the 6-inch Black Series, like Andre and Mike have mentioned. So it doesn't fit into my collection at all. But I would love to have that.
Yeah. Tim?
Yeah, I would almost say the same as John.
Like, it's cool, right? Did you see it? It's
I-
freaking crazy.
Yeah, like I in preparing for that question, actually, I hate that John just stole my
sorry.
one answer.
No, it's fine. But that's cool.
That was like amazing, man. Yeah, good.
Mike?
Yeah, same thing. That Razor Crest.
Yeah, the Razor Crest is hot. We should all
before it, right? Like I had already made that decision. I'm not collecting these new anymore. So whatever. But I think the stereotypical one would be the rocket firing prototype of Boba Fett from right.
To
like
watch the toys that made us, or the toy hunter.
Yeah. And then if I'm looking for something realistic, right now I'm looking for Black Series, Star Wars Black Series, Dr. Afra. So if anyone out there has got one for sale,
Man, yeah, I had one. I was sitting on it for the longest time.
Perfect. Shout out if you have anything, DM Mike. We'll put some information in the comments section. Andre?
I think the R2 would be my my holy grail piece that I can't get. But if I had to choose another one, I really like the Jedi Starfighter design from both Revenge of the Sith and also Attack of the Clones. And Hot Toys has Anakin's Jedi Starfighter being produced, so I might just bite the bullet and buy that in that scale to fit a Hot Toys figure. Don't know where I'm putting this thing, but
that's gonna be huge.
It's because again, if I don't get it, you'll never see it again. It's just the type of thing. So
or you will, but you're gonna pay a lot of money for it. So
so that might be on the a reward for surviving 2020. Buy yourself a 12-inch 6-scale Jedi Star.
Yeah. If you're not familiar, 1/6 scale, that's like they did a Batmobile, and it's the size of your coffee table, like a full size couch almost. Yeah. So I don't know where you would put the freaking Starfighter.
Andre will find a way if that's the case. He'll encase it in
This is the way.
carbonite himself and put it in his
He'll
coffee
hang
table.
above his bed. So when he's lying,
If it ever snaps at him,
Yeah.
I guess that's a good way to
at
go.
it.
Well, if you're gonna die, you must be taken by the thing that loves you or you love. So that's he died doing what he loved. Star Wars. Rob, my question to you: money being no object, you have a blank check to get whatever you want. What is the one Star Wars item that you're willing to just like you could get with money being no object? What's the one thing that you would buy?
It's hard for me because you know what I would do? I would probably go with what Andre is saying as a life-size working R2D2. That to me would just be amazing, just to have zipping around. I remember watching Rocky 3, and he had that.
I was going to say the Rocky
The
robot.
butler robot, yeah.
Right, and I was like, man, I wish I had a robot that would just do that type of stuff. And if I could have an R2D2 that in my basement while I'm watching TV, that's life size, playing games or whatever, I would love
Getting
to
your
have
beers.
that. That would just be pretty cool. So, yeah.
John?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually pick something that money can't buy, and that would be to actually experience the original trilogy in theaters. I never got to do it when I was a kid. Hey, I'm twisting your questions.
Wait. Oh,
Are you not surprised?
No, I'm gonna mute you in a second. So, would you mean buy a theater, replay them, invite people to watch it with you? Because again, money being no object.
I would hire a hypnotist to erase Star Wars from my mind, and then I would get the theater, get them to play Star Wars 1, 2, and 3, and be able to experience them in the theater. And I guess I'm taking all you guys along, so they're going to erase your minds too.
That's
One,
worse.
two,
I
three,
legit thought you were going to say I would buy the original Prince. Like that's what I thought you were going for.
So what am I going to do with it? I want the experience.
Wait. 1, 2, 3 as in the prequels 1, 2, and 3?
No,
No,
the original.
no,
I said
God.
original trilogy. Whatever. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back.
Because technically
Return
those are
of the
not
Jedi.
1, 2, 3. But yes.
I never called them by those numbers because that's mad confusing. So I always call them by the original trilogy, whatever you want to call it. Because I never got to see those in theaters.
So
I thought John was going
brainwash.
to go with a Jar Jar Binks.
The tongue thing?
Sucker.
I'll call
With
my
the tongue that comes out. I thought that's what he was going to go for.
Money
I-
is no object, but I know a guy who might be willing to sell his. So let's talk about after the scenes. Okay, so brainwash or no, memory forget and rewatch the theater live and experience it. That's what you're looking for. Okay, Tim, please salvage this.
John stole my idea again. I was going to get brainwashed.
Shut up.
But I'm going to
Because
skip that
John was humming at like a great 10 and now he's fallen to a 5. So if we're doing player
Yeah.
rankings at the end, John has now cut himself out of this player rankings. Rob
The
is now at
TNT
the same
turning
level
point.
as John. I'm doing
Yeah.
player rankings at the end. You're both
That's just
falling.
rude and hurtful.
So
Tim?
money no object.
Money being no
I
object.
don't even know if this exists, but if Andre can get himself a $5,000 working R2D2, then I will double down on that. But I would like it to be a chopper from Rebels. So I would like a $5,000 giant working chopper, and I want him to have a bad attitude as well. Like I don't want him. So when I ask him for something, I want him to go. And
Hey,
just
$1
walk
million
away.
R&D budget. You could build anything you want.
Fine.
You could
That's what I'm
custom make a
taking.
chopper because if you just buy the R2 unit and then cover it on top with stuff, like it can't be that difficult if money
Yeah.
was no object. So yes, I
Yeah.
totally.
I'm
If that's what
taking
you
a
wanted, you could
chopper.
have a secondary party retrofit your R2 to make it a chopper because they're almost the same body unit anyways. But
Yeah.
no, I get that. It makes a lot of sense.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a reasonable take. All right, Mike, up to you.
Holy Grail?
Yep.
Did we
Money
do
is no
this already?
object.
Money money
Money's
being no
okay. Money's
object.
no object now.
Money no object. What do you want?
Okay, I want that Millennium Falcon from Galaxy's Edge.
No, that's a great.
Park that in the backyard.
Do you want? Is your property big enough
You
to
can
live in the
live on it.
backyard? That's
You
my
can live on
question.
it.
I'm like,
Probably not. No. Put it out in the middle of the street. It'd become a toll street now.
do you
You get
do
past
you
the Falcon.
do you? Okay, so you want the Millennium Falcon from Galaxy's Edge that you can actually walk inside of as well. You just don't want the outside Galaxy's like the ship. You want
We want
working-
a life-size Millennium Falcon. Doesn't
That
have to
works
fly,
indoors.
but you could hang out and it's like
Oh, very
That-
very generous.
that's
of you.
good.
Doesn't
that's a
have to
clubhouse.
fly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be
You
your,
don't want to fly anyways. It's dangerous.
$20 bottles of beer just to help pay for the thing.
That'd be the ultimate man cave.
100%. That's a great. You'd have to buy a field in Stouffville because there's no way you could fit it anywhere else. So or far out because man, oh man, that thing is huge. You'd essentially have to live in that. That would just be your house.
Yeah, that would be okay.
Yeah. All right. That's a great one. Andre.
If money was no object, I would probably say a trip to Skywalker Ranch.
I was gonna say buy the ranch.
Buy the ranch. Yeah, that's the right. How come you didn't do that in the beginning, John? Think about it correctly. Andre, buy the ranch. Money being no object.
Buy the ranch. I just want to go and see all the Star Wars stuff there because it's like a museum in itself.
To be fair, Andre,
if money was no object, maybe just a conversation with Mr. Lucas himself.
Well, here's the thing, Andre. They're leaving the ranch.
Money's no object. He could be my tour guide through his Skywalker Ranch studios.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's perfect. Because the thing, Andre, they're leaving the ranch, so it's going to be up for sale eventually. So maybe you can buy it and turn it into a museum. That would be the ultimate money no object. Buy the ranch, turn it into a museum, and hang out with George on a regular basis. That would be the cool thing to do. So
I would just yell at him though for the prequels. Like I don't think it would be money worth. I would just be really
fine.
I would just be yelling at him.
Fine, it's fine. Don't worry about George will probably he'll honestly, George, I can imagine having a conversation. He would convince you, and then you'd walk up and going, yeah, it wasn't a bad idea. I'm good.
Actually,
I'm good.
Andre should buy up Disney's rights for Star Wars and then produce it himself. I think that's what he should do.
Again, you have these wonderful ideas, John, when it's not you.
You wanted to go with a Men in Black theory, like, I like that my memory.
Yeah, the memory, like that's ridiculous. But buying Star Wars for like that's probably a better idea too. Okay. Anyways, so that's great. Thank you all for sharing. That will be our Star Wars memorabilia / Star Wars thoughts on toys and yada yada yada. That was great. If you survived this long, thank you. That's it. You deserve a medal of some sort. We'll throw something your way, because again, comment below on what you would want to buy, what your favorite Star Wars thing. Talk, in the comments below of if money was an object, what would you buy?
If you want to have your mind wiped and enjoy Star Wars for the first
time.
time.
John will make up his money by asking people to get their mind wiped to join him in the theater with him. So that's how John will make his money for university and college tuition. So we are now finally at the point where we're going to talk about The Mandalorian, episode 9, The Marshal. So if you have not seen it, we're not going to spoilers yet. I'm going to ask 2 questions and then we're going to full spoilers. So let me go to the round table quickly here. Rob, did you like the episode? Yes or no?
Yes.
John, yes or no?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Mike?
Yep, thumbs up.
Andre?
Nope.
Would you recommend that people continue to watch The Mandalorian after episode chapter 9? Rob?
Yes.
John?
Yeah.
Tim?
100%.
Mike?
100%. What else are you gonna watch?
Andre?
If you're 9 in, you might as well keep going.
All right. Well, this. I don't know if you know what this is all about, but this is now going to be the spoiler side of things. We're going to talk all about our thoughts on The Mandalorian. So spoiler alerts and tags and whatnot. So if you haven't seen it by now, it's a Wednesday. You should have seen it already. So we're going to go full into it. So foreshadowing by Andre is fantastic. So I appreciate that, Andre. All right, Rob, we're going to give us your general thoughts. Tell us what you liked, what you thought was cool. The floor is yours, and go for it.
All right. So, you know what? I'm going to actually, we talked last week's episode about the season 1 recap, and I was quite excited to see season 2 based on the trailer. But we all know how trailers can throw off a show. Haunting a Blind Man or anyone. So
shout out Raul. I love you. Carry on.
Yeah, my son and I sat down. We watched it on Friday night, and man, it was a lot of fun. It was great. I loved seeing Timothy Olyphant in it. I'm a huge Justified and Deadwood fan. For those who don't know, the bartender that was interacting with the Mandalorian and Timothy Olyphant is Dan from Deadwood. So there was a little mini Deadwood reunion that was happening there. I felt it was a lot more. I liked this season premiere a lot more than season 1's premiere. I thought this was a lot more invested. It felt more Star Wars. But what I thought was really interesting, I messaged Stu on this. There was something about the pacing. I think we had kind of mentioned this in the last weeks, and I couldn't kind of figure it out. And then I realized that these episodes are just giant, like they're life-size versions of the cartoon. That's all they are. If you watch a cartoon, any cartoon, whether it's G.I. Joe, Transformers, or the Star Wars, there's very little. There's one central plot. It kind of takes place in one or two situations or sets, rather, and that's it. And I kind of feel that The Mandalorian is just that these episodes have kind of been just life-size, come to life of versions of cartoons on these episodes. I love the Boba Fett reveal at the end. I had to actually pause it and show my son that it was the same actor who played Jango Fett, and his name escapes me right for the time being, but I love that.
Temuera Morrison.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Who was amazing on Once for Warriors, but whatever. I love that.
His turn on Aquaman, you mean? You loved him in Aquaman?
No. Once for Warriors. This is an amazing New Zealand movie back in the 90s. So it was a great. It was a good episode. It was a lot of fun, but again, it really then the whole thing with the giant Tremors worm. Where was Kevin Bacon for that one?
Whoa, Dune worm just stealing from
yeah,
Dune.
Well, I was like thinking to myself, wow, this is as close as we're gonna get to Denis Villeneuve's Dune this year. Watching this,
but the worm the skeleton was there in episode 4 or. Yep. The OG trilogy. So
no, but
knew it existed.
Just that whole entire thing made me feel like, wow, this is a cartoon come to life. So I love the episode. It's a lot of fun. I feel better now having that epiphany for whatever reason. I feel better that I understand the series, as it is. And it felt more Star Warsy to me than the past Mandalorian series did.
Awesome. Thank you. John?
Yeah, pretty simple. Episode was called The Marshal, had Timmy Olyphant in it. He's basically playing Raylan Gibbons in the Star Wars world. And I'm fine with it. they could have had one of the Tusken the Tusken whatever those guys are called.
Tusken Raiders.
He could have turned around and been Boyd Crowder, Walter Goggins, and I would have been fine with that too. So if the show spins off and becomes the justified Mandalorian, I'm fine with that too as well. So my answer is pretty simple. Like you couldn't do any wrong once I saw those title credits and that I knew that Timothy Olyphant was signed on to do the show. I knew exactly what was going to happen. So the only wrong they could have done was kill him off or make him some type of villain betrayer. So but Rob hit it. It's basically Tremors mini movie. Tremors justified in a mini movie. So I feel like these episodes, if this is the pace they're going to do, every episode is going to be like a mini movie. 50-minute movie fits into my schedule perfect. So
what about your thoughts on the gangster, John? I know we talked about this before.
We talking about John Leguizamo?
Yeah,
I thought he was pretty funny. He brings the kid into the fight and stuff like that, and he's like, "Where I go, the kid goes." And then he does take apart those guys. I was saying like you could cut in the Karate Kid "Best Around Us" song in there when he's like fighting all those guys. It would have been pretty funny.
I laughed when he says, "Wherever I go, he goes," and I think my buddy. Like immediately, like I thought of it, that happened too, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is. Those of you who don't know, there was a toy back in the day called My Buddy. It's like this plush toy that you would have. If you were, like if you were a single kid and you didn't have a sibling, you're like, oh, my buddy is like my little brother or whatever. And then the other one was Kid's Sister, which is the exact same thing, but just say Kid's Sister. And that was the toy. So I laughed when I heard that.
But the problem with that toy is it came out right around the time of Child's Play. So that cross promotion was really mental for people who are like on the fence about what to do.
It's kind of on the Cabbage Patch Kids kind of thing too. So it was good. But I know you mentioned that you didn't even know the voice, but you kind of recognize the voice.
I was like, I think that's John Leguizamo, but John Leguizamo from John Wick. I'm like, is it actually him? So I was like, okay, and it turned out to be him. And then I'm surprised Rob didn't shout out his boy from the Wu-Tang Clan and stuff like that.
Wow. So. Yeah. The RZA, the quick flash cameo of the RZA. I was like, what? Yeah.
There were a lot of fun cameos in this one, but no. Okay. We'll jump to Tim. Tim.
Yeah, I love it, man. This the show is back in a good way. I love that I do like that it's weekly. It becomes like a little event, and because of the online spoilers that come out like immediate, you kind of do want to set your Friday night aside so that you can watch it and enjoy it. I mean, John was messaging me like at what 10 in the morning on Friday. Did you watch it yet? I'm like, no, give me a second. But no, it was a great show, man. I love it. I think they do a really good job with it. Timothy Oliphant was great. For those that don't know, that character Cobb Vanth, he's actually from a series of books, Star Wars Aftermath. So they did trilogy novels that gapped between the original trilogy and Force Awakens, and so he's actually from that. And I haven't read it, but apparently it's very true to the source material. So they pretty much exactly adapted it. So it's nice. He was a great character. The whole look of it was good. The reveal at the end, I mean, I'm kind of hoping that's almost not even Boba Fett. Like, I would like that just to be one of the clones.
Yeah.
But the whole idea was pretty cool, and the fact that they've got that actor, Mr. Morrison, coming back in and playing that role, hopefully for more, but you don't really know. I think Baby Yoda was awesome. Slightest, tiniest of gripe is that his voice, Baby Yoda, in this episode seemed too much like a real human baby. Like, I feel like in this one he was speaking a little bit too much, so I'm worried about that, but that's all right. And yeah, the action was good, the effects and everything, I liked it. Super excited for the next one. And I will say, we talk a lot about different shows and stuff like that on this podcast, but anything that can bring in a greater audience to me is a big thing, where I can talk about it with more people. And in my household, that my wife sits down and really enjoys it right with me. That doesn't happen on a lot of these kind of sci-fi shows that from our childhood. So that's pretty cool, and I appreciate the show and can't wait for next week.
So, follow-up question to you, Tim. In regards to Timothy Oliphant's character, as you mentioned, he is in a book series. If the reception is very well done and they're like, we're going to do a TV show based on him, would you, in fact, watch more episodes with Timothy Oliphant on Tatooine doing cowboy things, or are you out?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have a choice. I'm pretty much a Star Wars nerd, so I'll watch anyways. But I mean, the minute he took off his mask, I heard my wife just go, "Ooh!" Like, so I think Timothy Oliphant's kind of hooked in my wife here. So yeah, we're in. But yeah, no, his character was good. I mean, the fact now that he's lost the armor, I don't know. That would be kind of the cool part of him. So you have to have something different. But yeah, no, I'm all good. Spin it off.
What are your thoughts, before I jump to Mike, that the armor looked, I think, intentionally
like it didn't fit.
It potentially didn't look like it fit on him.
Yeah.
So like it was kind of, because Boba Fett or Jango or all the Mandalorians are supposed to be like jacked big dudes, and Timothy Oliphant is not. So it looked like they intentionally made it like it was too big for him, which I actually appreciated more. So that it would fit him. Because I think if it looked too good on him, you're like, well, does everyone just fit in this costume like Mandalorian? So
I actually thought it looked too small on him.
No, yeah, that's what he's saying. Yeah, he's saying like it was too small.
It just looked weird on him, because I think Timothy Oliphant's like a longer limb person, so it kind of.
But even the helmet, you could see when he had the helmet on.
Yeah,
you could see the back of his
nothing
head.
really. Yeah, nothing really fit, and like whatever. And I also like that he was so badass in being able to use it to fly. Right, like that was pretty cool that he had learned enough of it. So yeah, sorry, your questions too though.
No, it's perfect. It's good. It's good. Mike, it's up to you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, The Mandalorian, the show overall, I love it. Live action Star Wars, like, wow, give me more of that. Like, that's mind blowing. The production value, everything. I feel like The Mandalorian overall, it gets into live action Star Wars stuff that we've, as fans, like dreamed of since we were kids. We get to see this crate dragon. We get to see Boba Fett flying around with another Mandalorian or guy in a Mandalorian outfit. Like, we didn't get to see that in the original live action movies that much. I kind of discredit the prequel trilogy. To me, that was, you talk about a show that's too cartoony. Those movies, looking back at them, you got our C-3PO flopping around and it's like too cartoony. This kind of hits the mark. But that said, I got my gripes as well. Like it was mentioned about Baby Yoda, a little, I noticed that too. It's like, I hope he doesn't start talking all of a sudden or something like that, or sound too human. Timothy Oliphant, I'm sorry, I can't get behind him. He's just too cheesy, his acting. I watched the episode a second time and I kind of got a little bit more used to it, but I thought like all the Western stuff actually in The Mandalorian, like tone it down a bit. It's too over the head. Even the music, which that won't be popular either, but I've had enough of that theme. Give me some more classic Star Wars themes.
They did have a slower version of it. I felt like, I don't know if they played that before.
Yeah, they didn't overdo the theme, but I feel like last season they overdid it, and I've had enough of it. And then the way he looks in the armor, I just thought he looked like a goofball in the Fett armor. And something really weird, and this goes back to the toy collecting, tie into the toy. When I see the armor all like, I know it's worn and dented and everything from The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but to now see it even more worn out, I'm like, no, it's a collector's item. why does it have destroyed?
When he repaint it.
Mike, let's not forget there's a whole subsect of people that buy used jeans. So don't you worry. If you got to use
distressed Boba Fett
distressed Boba Fett, like just like the 50 fit, there's a bunch of dudes that buy pristine Star Wars clone trooper items just to muck it up. They're like, yeah, we're gonna scratch this for battle damage. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like, well, you know, that's how it shows that they're battle hardened and whatnot. But I saw the clip that, and I agree with you on the aspect of how there's a clip on Reddit I saw about someone who was like, God help the person who's going to cosplay as this, because they just showed the picture of the helmet on the thing and how distressed it was. Like, it's going to be a nightmare to try to copy the look of that helmet, to like distress the paint off of it and whatnot to make it look like that, because already the Boba Fett helmet, if you buy it for black series, is already kind of distressed, but make it even more distressed and see the metal underneath it, it would be incredible. But my God,
it's great for Hasbro though. They can just do another repaint of that helmet and put it out there, right?
Well, they already have the white one. Well, like they made one that's even like, oh, this is the prototype Boba Fett helmet. It's like, oh, wait, it's just white. It's like, that's even easier. Like, so they're
then you have to poke the hole in it to mimic the bullet shot though, right? So you gotta ding that in pretty good.
Use a heat source and make it in. But yes, go ahead, Mike.
One other great thing about this episode though, I thought I really liked to see the Mando, kicking some butt finally, because I feel in the first season he got his butt handed to him too often. And in that opening fight scene where he's actually using the armor, the guy punches him in the head, his head, bounces back and hits the guy behind him. That kind of stuff I thought was awesome. It could have been cheesy or too slapstick, but it wasn't. It felt like a nice action sequence. I thought it was good.
I could tell you wearing a helmet, playing hockey and whatnot, once you get hit in the head, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. It's not fun. And it's not like you're immediately back to normal. You're like, oh, so yeah, regardless of whether you're a clone or Mandalorian or not, you still have to, I totally get it. Like you're saying, like it took a second for him to adjust. And then I liked how he utilized it to headbutt the other direction. But like anytime you get hit in the head, you're disoriented. So if he didn't do it at all, then I'd be like, So yeah, any other additional gripes or thoughts? Because Andre is going to unleash the Kraken on us momentarily.
Yeah, I'm sure there's other little tiny gripes, but I think the big ones was I don't really care for Timothy Oliphant and the music. But I enjoyed seeing the Boba reveal at the end, man. I thought that was really cool. But I worry, like most people, that they're gonna like ruin things. So like the stuff with the sand people, right? Like some of the mystique is getting kind of evaporated there. So I worry about that.
But here's the thing. So I hear you saying the mystique, but I actually, one of my biggest enjoyments of that was that they're expanding the story of them.
Yeah.
Like when I look at my favorite Star Trek show, and we talked about, is DS9, because they really expanded the Ferengi and talking about the way that their history works, and even the Klingon Empire before the Klingons were warriors, and it's even the wonderful thing about a wedding and the two hearts beating as one. I like when they did it, and I also like that they brought in a proper sign language person to come up. There's an official Tusken Raider sign language that a guy created for the show and created for it. So when Boba Fett was doing that, I thought it was really inclusive. It's like, yeah, these people are thousands of years on there, and they've got to find another way to communicate. So I thought, we can gripe a lot about the Tusken Raiders, but I thought just even the touch of doing unofficial sign language as well. It's just like
And,
Klingon is
and
now
the fact
a
that
language.
he was willing to deal instead of just going straight. He kind of exhibited it in season 1, but he was willing to work with them instead of just going, oh, I'm going to shoot you all and then figure
But I
it
think
out.
that's the inclusive nature of this character, where he's a bounty hunter, but he understands he has to work with other people.
Yeah.
Like there's a difference between like him and other characters where he's like, well, I can do this on my own. Well, clearly he understands he's almost by himself the entire time. He relies on other people and a support network. And to the point of this Tusken Raider, it's the same group of Tusken Raiders he met with last season, because the binoculars that he used in this episode were the same that he gave these guys in the previous episode. So it's nice that this is the same group of guys. It's like, yeah, you can go back to Tatooine and you meet the same Tusken Raiders. And that little thing of like, how much these binoculars cost, who cares? We need information. We got to barter and work with people rather than like, go in and kick everyone's ass. So there was a nice kind of thing where if you were looking for those Easter eggs, you're like, oh, this is the same binoculars that from that stupid idiotic kid from the other episode, which I'm glad he died. But like there they are again. Like he's using them.
Even the
and
Jawas, how
he
fair
could've-
the Jaw was that they didn't just rob Timothy Oliphant and they were like, okay,
Yeah.
you know what? We could have just left you for dead and took your crystals. It's like, oh, we'll actually give you a deal for these crystals. You get the armor and stuff like that. And you're like, what is these Jawas so forgiving and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I think there's just
I
honor
think-
code. Yeah.
Yeah, the show,
Yeah.
and especially in that desert planet, right? Like you're there and everyone's kind of trying to survive as best as they can, so you kind of honor and respect. I think the show, as much as, it's not, it may not keep some of the mystique of some of the things, I think the show really is trying to do as much as it can to be as, to garner the greatest audience as possible, right? So it's giving you knowledge about this and giving you, expanding upon this and that. And it's got a little bit of something for almost everyone, right?
Yeah. And
I agree.
Everybody
we're
except for
transitioning
Andre.
to
And
That's why I said
I'm gonna
almost.
let
I
Andre
said
go in a
almost.
moment. But to your point, Tim, like there is a delicate ecosystem in the desert. Like if you go to Serengeti, like people have to work together on that world planet on that side because the conditions are difficult. And I can imagine on a world with two suns, like already these guys work together on a regular basis and they have to coordinate and work and work off each other. So I totally understand your thoughts on the music. Andre and myself have some strong thoughts on the music and some strong thoughts on that. But I have to say more shout outs to Seth Bullock, Timothy Oliphant. As my rank of fictitious Canadians, he ranks in my top 3 as greatest fictitious Canadians on TV. So he's awesome in Deadwood. So maybe you haven't seen enough Deadwood to really appreciate Seth Bullock. And as a great Canadian, him, Deadpool, and Booster Gold. So as the 3 greatest Canadians in fiction. So let's continue on. Andre, let us now begin with you. You have a lot of things to say. You have some insights, and I'll let you go before I finish it off.
All right. Well, I'll just say it's great that everybody enjoyed watching this episode, which I will give it credit for being 54 minutes, and I wish the show would be that. But I want everybody to take a minute and remember the 4th episode of The Mandalorian. And this episode was just the exact same thing, right? So you get a season opener that is the exact same plot as the 4th episode, and they just put it in the desert and back to Tatooine. So again, I'm going to give props to Jon Favreau for his shitty, uninspired writing, right? My issues stem from the show. It's like, again, I don't know what type of character the Mandalorian is. First scene, he doesn't kill the guy at the end. He literally strings him up to be eaten alive. So he's a vicious bastard, right? Then the next scene, right? Timothy Oliphant has Mandalorian armor, which, he says, take it off. Why, pray tell, would he help that guy? He's got no helmet. You put a bullet in the back of the skull. You take the armor. His quest is done. He's got no reason to be on that planet and help them at all. And he's proven that in some points he's going to kill, and in some points he's going to do, he's going to help. So I have no idea about his morality or whatever. The plot issues and stuff in between just grow and get worse for me until the very last scene in which we see Boba Fett, who has been on Tatooine for at least 5 years, because this shows 5 years after Return of the Jedi, and he's come out of the Sarlacc pit. Well, if I throw out everything I know about Mandalorians from all my expanded universe reading and comic reading and game playing, all of this stuff, I throw all of that out the door, and I just focus on what they've showed me in The Mandalorian, that their armor is very important and all of this stuff, and he tells him take it off. Boba Fett dies in his armor. I cannot think of a reason why he takes his armor off or leaves his armor or then waits 5 years to get it back. So I am in to see what type of reason they give for that. But to me, I like as of that moment when I watched it and I saw that was the reveal at the end, I'm like, okay, what reason can they give for him for leaving his armor? Not to mention, how did this guy fit into the armor, know how to use the armor, fly with the armor, who fixed the armor, all of those things. I just didn't buy.
He's had 5 years with the armor, Andre, to be fair.
Pardon me?
He's had 5 years with the armor since.
And it's
Correct,
not fixed.
but again,
So it's not fixed.
How is this lame? Like, dude, it would be like, and I know we're talking different things, but if Tony Stark's armor fell down and we found it, how are we going to get into it and learn how to do it? How are we going to learn how to fly with it? These guys are trained, like they are elite warriors that train and basically live in armor. So if I just saw, like, even when you see stormtrooper armor, when you put on that helmet, it's got stuff in it. You got to know how to.
It's not a
use
hub,
it.
but to be fair, Andre, I've watched Mandalorian 3 times, and the nuance of when he flies the rocket pack, Timothy Oliphant's limbs and arms seem to also. He doesn't seem to fly straight. Like he's kind of doing it, but not well.
Sure.
So
And-
like it's like a subtle thing, but I get it. But if you have 5 years of training and all your job is to be a marshal and do it, like I assume that you'd have a. We just didn't get the training montage of him learning how to fly.
Yeah, you need that Rocky montage.
The montage. So like maybe if you had time to do it in the background, we don't know what power source is in a Mandalorian jetpack. Like theoretically,
But we also don't know about his background, right? Like we don't really know where he came from. I mean, I don't know.
from the
if
books, do
anybody
we know
knows.
whether he was trained in the military or something? Like, is he just?
But that's what I mean. Like you don't really know too much about him. And I mean, although he's from the books, they don't necessarily have to stick to that strictly. But yeah, you don't really know where he's from. And then, do you mind if I just say one quick thing on Andre's point? I feel like
let Andre finish. Let Andre finish. And
that's pretty much it. Like,
yeah.
it's,
Okay, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I feel like he killed the gangster because he was a gangster that had just tried to murder him and like have a bunch of guys murder him, and he didn't kill the marshal because the marshal's like a marshal of a town, like a civilian town.
What
Like,
difference
he would have
does it
known.
make?
Well, John Leguizamo,
He's like a good guy.
If they
Like-
try to find him,
Yeah, well,
they can
I think-
ask that guy, and he finds.
Well, to be fair, Andre, like if we look at Batman as an example, and that's a terrible example of the Dark Knight when Ra's al Ghul and that thing is like, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. It's a similar thing. You left the guy in his own fate. Like Batman didn't pull the trigger, but he did murder Ra's al Ghul, like on that train. Like Batman typically in the comics would save him and Tim anyways,
so
and like
what context?
then
are you
it's kind of a
using-
thing where
that's you're giving us a bad example of the thing.
Well,
What I'm saying
Mando
is
did give him a choice. He said,
morality
"I'd pay
of-
for the information."
And then
He
the
gave
guy
him a way
turned
out.
and tried to kill
Yeah,
him.
and he still
Yeah.
tried to kill him. Like, he gave him He's like, "I'll pay," even with the guns pointed at his head. He's like, "I'll pay for this information." So
to be
whatever
fair,
you want.
Andre, he if you were in this situation, you do the exact same thing because many people have slighted you as a retailer. So you would probably take exact vengeance the exact
again,
same way to
why-
people. If you were in the Boba Fett, like the
Yeah,
Mandalorian
you know
armor,
what?
and you'd
I
be like,
wouldn't have-
John Favreau, you've run me wrong. I'm not going to untie you. It's like you're
but
gonna let him.
I would have slit his throat or whatever myself. But again, give me a reason why he helps Timothy Olyphant's character.
But he's shown in season 1 that he's willing to help like the villages and stuff like that, right? Like the
Yeah,
guy does have that
why?
humanitarian
I
side.
think he
Not getting
respects
paid,
authority at
and
the
he's
same
owed
time.
This armor, there's no reason for him to help.
I
Other
disagree.
than- other
But there's no
Reeve
reason.
is
But there's also
taking
no
on.
reason for him to just murder people outright, right? Like I don't know that he's
Well,
just a
like
cold blooded killer that
I'm
murders
like
for
this
no
is the thing.
reason.
To be fair, in Andre plays, maybe Knights of the Republic his way, and he's a Sith and just murders people straight off the bat. He doesn't care about side quests. But this is a side quest mission in terms of video games. You listen to people, you're trying to suss out what's going on, and he is still the like law official of the town. So again, we talked about how Mandalorian doesn't just shoot first and ask questions later. He
You're
assesses
right,
the
but
situation.
listen, you watch the same episode as I did. He says, take it off. And then the guy says, no, you want to do this here? and then the worm comes, or the crate dragon.
Yep.
Right? Why should that have changed anything? They should have done the duel in the street, and then he should have got.
Well, they
off
were going to go to the
planet.
street, but the
He's
crate
not
worm
getting
stopped them from
paid.
doing the duel
He's
in the
not
street.
getting
When the
anything.
ground moves, Andre, you're not really standing in the street to
But
do the
that shows-
cowboy thing. Like,
But the whole
He's all
show
the
is,
people, too.
But the whole show is based on his change in character from this baby, right? Like the contract of the baby, and then realizing, wait a second, what are they doing with this thing? And that's his kind of change of moment. And I feel like the show is now chronicling his development, right, as a character. And I mean, this is part of it. Like, yeah, he was in the shootout mode. So he was about to fight the guy for all intents and purposes. But then when he realizes there's this thing, and the marshal turns to him and says, can you help me with this thing? Like, that's that human aspect.
and he also said, "I'll give you the armor if you'd help me do it."
Yeah,
Where it's
like,
okay,
he's
well, let's
But
do.
see, hold on a second. Again, this is the same thing going back to the previous thing. The Jawa stole his shit, and then he had to do something to get it back. That's just bullshit. You're a killer. He's a hired guy. Okay. I don't care how good you are or whatever. Somebody steals your shit and makes you jump through hoops to get it back when you could kill all of them and take them back.
But Andre, I think you also have
Right?
to remember.
Like, I don't care what type of morality.
I get
Give me
you,
a-
but this
give
is
me
the
a
same
reason.
conversation we had before about a horror movie, Andre. You have to have people stay in the house. Most of us, the walls start bleeding. We get the F out. We're not staying around from that. But for plot lines for the movie, just like those Geico commercials, like all those kids, like we gotta run somewhere. Let's hide in that room full of like knives and chainsaws.
Give me-
it's like
you know
the
what?
logic
Give me
doesn't
better
speak-
writing. Give me better writing and I'll believe it. Right? Like I believed it in Rebels. How many times in Rebels did Kanan say, "Look, I don't want to fight with the rebellion. Let's just go to helping people." And Hera gave him reasons. It's in the writing. They're just not showing it. They're showing he's going to do this at this point, and then he's going to do that at another point, and then you guys can
It's
pick
just
up all
different
the
on
reasons
ensemble.
that you
This
want.
is just a person, one person, and I think that
What
Rebels
person?
does a
What
good
do we-
job of an ensemble cast. So I get your gripe is about he's a killer, but he's also a Mandalorian who has to navigate a world where there's not other Mandalorians around him. He's trying to find information and trying to survive. It makes no, if he just murders everyone, let's say if he was by himself, maybe, but he has like, even at the end when he's like, when he was about to sacrifice himself, it's like, take care of the kid. Like at the end of the day, he still has a mantra to take care of this child as a part of his clan. Like regardless of whether the mistakes are being made, it's like he still has as a
Sure.
viewpoint, and he's
I'm
doing it
glad
that
you
way.
brought that up, Stu, because again, he has an obligation to get this kid somewhere, yet he's gonna then fight a crate dragon when his obligation is to get the armor back and find the kid his thing. So if that guy wants to fight him for the armor, that's on Timothy Oliphant. He should have taken the armor and then got back out of Dodge. So the obligation to the kid, I'm so glad you brought that up, because again, he's the one endangering the kid at that moment.
But
Right?
as a bounty
And
hunter,
let me bring this other point up. And you guys are all fixated on, oh, he likes the kid and this and that. He showed more affection to the Tusken Raider dog than I've seen him with the child. Right? So again, I don't know who's writing this thing. Like, I just don't care about.
I think Andre, if you've watched any episode of Dog the Bounty Hunter, you know you have to establish a network of friends and allies, and you connect with them, and they give you information. If you just went in and killed every single person in the galaxy, guess what?
I didn't.
You have
say
no one
kill
to tell
every
you
person
anything
in the galaxy, bro.
So,
and he's
yep.
killed the bad guys. But look, he asked for the armor because it's part of the way. You need to get that armor back because it's from a Mandalorian. The other guy says, "I'm going to fight you for it." Whatever interrupts the fight should be inconsequential to him. He's got no skin in the game. When the guy says, "Help me and I'll give you the armor," he should say, "Look, I'm taking the armor either way. I couldn't give a shit about your village. Your village means nothing to me."
But that shows that he's a good guy, though. That's why we want to watch the show. That's why we root for him.
And Andre, I get
he's such a
Andre, I
great
agree with you.
guy.
Here's the thing: if you want to make a show like that, then no one will like the character and no one will buy the stuff. But
I
guess
already
what?
tell you,
have
I
no
don't
show.
like the character because I don't know what his
Yeah, but-
morality is.
But
right?
You're the 1% of people that like
I
this
know.
panel of
I
people
know
love
I'm
him.
the 1%,
So like,
and
but
that's cool.
it's imperative as a retailer that people continue to like this person's not going around murdering people because with no question, because
But
then
you-
no
it's
one's gonna
you.
buy stuff from
Look,
your store.
let me
So
tell you
I don't
why-
understand where
why
you're
did
like,
he
I want
murder-
this guy to
why
be a
did he
murderer and
murder
do
the
stuff.
first
It's like,
dude?
why?
He
Why?
murdered the first dude. He has a legit reason to enforce the way, and he doesn't enforce it.
But he was going to. The
He
point
was
is, though,
not
he was going to.
Why, if you
So-
are
Okay.
He was in the standoff, though. He's
So
in the standoff.
let's
He's gonna do it.
okay, stop this for a second. Mike, you're very quiet and you love Boba Fett. You like the Mandalorians. after listening to Andre's thoughts, do you think that he should have just flat out killed people immediately? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I have to say I kind of agree with
Mhm.
Andre. I think
Yep.
it's lazy writing.
Mhm.
I agree with you guys on that. You can't just go and shoot everyone up. But I think the motivation behind killing the gangster at the beginning was that guy directly threatened his life. He betrayed him. He double-crossed him, the whole 9 yards, right? With Timothy Oliphant's character, that was a little bit different. He has an obligation to his creed to get that armor back. So I think, he should have fought him, like Andre said. I don't think anything really should have interrupted it. I think it's lazy writing and it's a video game writing, right? Like do a side quest to keep you entertained for an hour. So they could have rewritten that and still filled an hour with something a little bit more interesting. Maybe the fight gets dragged out for some reason or whatever, but it's still, that is your plot thread now. You're focused on that armor and you're focused on the quest to relocate Baby Yoda with his kind. And then we haven't really talked about it as much, but I agree. The first thing I thought after just dwelling on the episode a little bit is, why hasn't Boba Fett gone? Like it's set up that Boba Fett's going to want to go after the Mando now to get his armor back, kind of, right? Well, why didn't he go after the Marshal to get his, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe they'll fix that. I mean, they've got the whole season to do that. But I agree. Those are two biggest plot problems.
So I think to your point, both Andre and Mike, is that they're taking the playbook straight from Lost. They leave you wanting more and asking questions about what to anticipate in the next episode, and buzz is happening. Everyone on the internet is talking about it, and we, from Tim's point, is a weekly release. Like, we are all jonesing to find out what happens, and we're all waiting to see. If it was all done at the same time, maybe the spoilers would be out. But I kind of like the weekly release format for this. I would, if they said we're going to do it all at once, I'm like, please, no, just leave it like this, because we're going to be thinking about what it is. And to Andre's point, maybe it's going to be bad writing as to why he didn't do it, but at least we'll get a full episode. And I'm glad they didn't jam it into the bottom of this, where they just meet and be like, hello, let me tell you, like, again. So there's potential. And to your point, I think you guys are right in terms of, yes, the writing isn't 100% solid in that capacity, but it's a TV show. Like, again, like, this is not like an hour Star Wars movie and then we're done with it. Like, you get a more to build character, to build relationship, to build and get used to that character. It's the reason why TV shows are kind of, now people like it.
I don't know why you cut this show so much slack by saying it's a TV show and this and that. That you shouldn't cut the slack because the writing's bad.
What other Star Wars show do we have to grade this to be?
Hold on,
Andre,
not
what other
slack.
show are you using as a metric?
Are they special?
Star Wars Rebels. Star Wars
live
Rebels.
action. That doesn't count.
Dude, that doesn't have anything to do with writing.
Does it get nominated for awards, Andre? Academy or like Emmys? No. So you can't gauge it.
What does that have to do with writing? That's like saying but can't judge a comic book like The Watchmen on its writing.
It's the medium,
it's not
Andre.
a novel.
The medium does not count. You have to grade it to its peers. I don't grade Rebels. I think Rebels is an amazing cartoon show, and it wins Annie's, which is the equivalent of an Emmy, but it's nowhere the same level of Game of Thrones, because budgets, actors, and things are different to scale in terms of salaries, in terms of budgets.
What does that have to do with writing? Writing's the big equalizer here, Stu.
No, but I'm comparing
words on a
it to
page that translate.
But I'm comparing it to other live action shows. You're like, it's not the same.
It was money.
Your logic does not work.
Paying those actors versus paying voice actors is
no. But hold on. But to Andre's point, though, you take the script from Rebels and put it in live action, he would be happy with it, right? So I get
but
that.
You don't have the budget for that. It's a cartoon. You cannot do
Rob,
it.
And you guys just said this is like a cartoon on the screen. So again, you can't have it both ways. Look, honestly, you guys can't have it both ways. The writing is, to me, what's holding this back. Visually, it's amazing, okay? I'm not taking anything away. That scene where he flew out of the Sarlacc, the Krayt Dragon's mouth, amazing. That was great. But again, the writing is just so weak, right? Like, look, you guys are telling me he wants to build up a network of people, right? How come nobody's asked him his name?
He's a Mandalorian. They're a Mando. What they just call him by that, right?
And Boba Fett wasn't called a Mandalorian. He was known as Boba Fett, right?
But weren't there more Mandalorians when he was roaming around?
So
Like,
just like in this first episode, Timothy Oliphant says to the bartender, and he calls him a Weequay. Doesn't call him by his name. He calls him by his species. So that's what this show is gonna do. So somebody comes into Heroes World and they say, "Hey, shopkeep," because that's what I am.
but
be
maybe that's
kinda
what
cool.
Bad writing,
Andre. But you
he's
don't know
got
what he
allies
declared.
that don't know his name.
I don't think
Get outta
you're
here.
also making a lot of assumptions because again, you don't know what he chose his name. Everyone can choose it. You can call yourself. I can legally change my name to shopkeeper. So I think you have to determine like what people want to call themselves. He or she or they. You can determine what you want to call yourself.
But then,
so if
they
he
just
wants to
refer
call
him
himself
as Mando.
Emperor, yeah.
The baby at the girl at the beginning, who's this is the third time we've seen her, doesn't ask what the child's name is. Doesn't even give a shit.
But that,
Right.
but
And this
yeah,
is the
but is
third
that
time we've
integral
seen
for
her
you
in
though?
9 episodes. If you see somebody 3 times, you would probably say, "Hey, what's your name? What should I call you?" And
But
he
she's
could say-
also, but
he
she's
could
also
say
seen
something
thousands
like,
of people.
"I have not named the child because it's not my thing to do." Boom. All right, I get it.
But is that integral to you not enjoying the show? Because I mean,
it actually is integral to me because it's not acting like what it is.
But
This
she's seen,
guy's
like,
basing
thousands
the
of
show on a
people.
Western that's a 2-hour single movie that we don't need to know anything else about, right?
but I don't, but
That
I don't,
works.
but I don't.
We're now coming back for 2 or 3 seasons, 9 episodes. We're how many hours in? How many hours are we into this show? 4 hours of actual show where this
But I've
guy's
been going, but I've been going to
planes
the same
across the
dry.
galaxy.
But I've been going to the same dry cleaner for like 20 years. They don't know my name because they see a million people. They know me. Like they'll say, "Hey, what's going on?" And you can
Are
tell
we
there's that
watching a
familiarity.
story, a 45-minute story about you though? Like again, don't make excuses for it. That's all I'm saying. Like if I was watching the movie, remember that movie called what's it called, The Package, or 12 Angry Men, where you don't need to know their thing because it's one and done. It's a snippet. But this is a series, guys. Like you have to be able to. So if you find they're gonna refer to him as "Hey Mando" and all this stuff, or Cara Dune's gonna introduce herself, say, "I'm Cara Dune." I'm like, "I'm Mando." All right, sure. But when they don't do these things and don't act like other people, and in Star Wars we have seen people introduce themselves and they have names, right? Again, I'm just saying it's just weak. It's very, very weak. The writing is what's holding the show back. Better writing added to all of these good Star Wars effects and all of that stuff. I would like the music to change, but that even the music doesn't bother me as how much the writing is poor. And again, I go back to this was the exact same episode as episode 4, and they're on episode 8. Or 9.
One point is maybe
like,
it's
come
that
on.
maybe it's the editing, right? Maybe those scenes are in there and then they edit it for time.
I don't think
But
so. I don't think
I'm
so.
just-
So
I'm trying to segue on to something.
Tim, we got it. Okay, so
But
we're
I do
at the
wanna
end of
say-
at the end of the day, we're running out of time. So I'm gonna finish off quickly on one note. I think people at home can recognize where you stand and where everyone else stands at this point. So let me just walk away with because I haven't said anything about this episode. So give me 1 second and then let's finish this off. So I just want to shout out the fact that I appreciated in this episode that the sand monster noise of that dragon was essentially lifted from Star Wars Episode 4 when Obi-Wan does the exact same noise to scare the Tusken Raiders away when they were underneath with Luke. And he does that noise. And I just appreciate the fact that although the writing is not to Andre's standards, they honor the material and bring it back. And it's like, that's the noise. So of course the Tusken Raiders would fear the sound of a sand monster because they're sand dragon, because this is the thing that they fear in the desert. So I appreciate that. I appreciate a little bit of the nuances of the same ice cream container they used before as the treasure chest. Like, I like the little Easter eggs. And yes, it may not be perfect writing standards to Andre, but I appreciate the fact
That droid unit with the bad whatever.
R5 or whatever, that he's back and he has a home. Like,
motivator.
I appreciated the fact that he's back and you can see the panel that was on fire that they fixed because again, Uncle Owen tried to buy it and burned up. Like, I appreciated the little things that someone of Star Wars that didn't have to do, they did. So regardless of everything else, let's just appreciate the fact that the Easter eggs are there. They honor the material, and they're still
the Crate Dragon Pearl, which is like a big deal, right? It's very valuable. It makes lightsabers or something. Han Solo used one to buy into the game where he won the Millennium Falcon and stuff like that. That's kind of neat.
So like, and even before, like, they were like, oh, what could kill a Snarlack? Like, Sarlacc pit. It's like this thing could kill. Like there's the little nuances of and I know you're not a fan of Timothy Olyphant, but even when he was like, that's not life size, and like, no, it is. And of like just the appreciation that like the Tusken Raiders know what's real. And Timothy Olyphant's like, oh no, you guys are dumb. Like, no, that's to size. And he was like, oh no. So I like the things of that nature and the little collection that brings the normies outside of it, but still allows me to enjoy the deep dives of it. It's not perfect. Nothing is. I don't think any Star Wars show outside of a cartoon, which is Rebels, and we talk about it, it's the gold standard. But again, it's its own pedestal, own genre, own thing because it's not marked like everything else.
Hey,
so that
Stu,
is
if I
that.
could just jump in quickly,
Yes,
because I
please.
actually have to bounce. But I was going to say, listen, as much as we all love this show, Andre still has a passion for the show.
I agree.
And I love his passion for it, whether he enjoys the show or not. I know that we've committed to watching every episode, and we can't discount Andre's passion for Star Wars as a whole or for the show. And so, Andre, I just want you to know, man, I love you and respect you. But guys, I actually got to go. So sorry for bouncing out, but I've got to help the mother-in-law move some furniture. So fun. Who wants to help me?
Yeah.
All right. Mike, it was good meeting you. Guys, got to go. Love you.
Yep.
All right, Andre.
See ya.
So in terms of just appreciating the little things, including the Jurassic Park reference where they put the bantha out there on the guy, and just the little nuances. Like I love stupid things like that, but that's me. So I appreciate, because I'm often looking at things outside of the story because that's the way I am. So anyways, I think we can all agree that all of us are passionate and we like and dislike multiple things in the show. But we'll look forward to see what happens next. We will, at the end of the season, allow Andre to bow out and never watch another episode again if he wants. But we will still continue to talk about it going forward, and we will talk about more Star Wars with or without him. So we will give him the opportunity to run away, as to be fair, because I know it pains Andre. This is the Klingon pain stick situation every week. It's two burly Klingon guys zapping him with electric sticks.
You know what the hardest thing is? The hardest thing is, though, is unfortunately, like, I'm older than all of you guys here, and Star Wars is my thing, and I've consumed so much Star Wars stuff that I just feel that, like Rob said, if you can't appreciate where I'm coming from, then it's hard to have a dialogue.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not like I'm like John said, it would be really nice if I could enjoy this show. Not saying I don't want people to enjoy this show, right?
Yep.
But it's not that I don't enjoy Star Wars, and it's not that I only like old Star Wars, because I enjoyed the prequels. I enjoyed the new video games. I enjoyed the role-playing games. There's so much Star Wars that I enjoy that other people don't enjoy interest in. And it's great that they're throwing this wide audience to get a wide audience of people in. But what difference does that mean if those people are never going to, or they don't care about Star Wars, right? Like if this show wasn't called Star Wars, didn't have Star Wars in the name, do you honestly think people would be watching it?
But Andre, I agree with you on that factor. Like it's
so you're not making Star Wars fans.
They are.
Is what I'm saying.
They're just dumbing it down for a more general audience. But even if 10% of the kids who are watching it right now, because it's still kind of kid friendly, turn into Andre, the passion in the future to like get them involved. That's what you need. That's what the problem with something like Star Trek is that they're losing, all the people are dying off and no one's coming on board to the fandom of Star Trek. Unlike Star Wars, which a new generation of kids are watching and enjoying and falling into it.
The Google searches went up. People were searching that Cobb character, and people were searching that Crate Dragon Pearl. And all
at the end of the day,
like
we don't know what's going to get people in. And let's say if your nephews at home are kind of whiff-waffing on Star Wars, but if this gets them to read the source material and get to the point that of your knowledge, that's great. That's all you need. The gateway. You need people to get in, because if there was no, think about it when we were, Andre, that time when there was no Star Wars, like you watched the old movies, but the fandom was kind of there, but it never grew more because you watched it and that was it. You had three movies and that's it.
But that's where I take issue, because, for all the people that say they're fans and stuff like that, or they didn't like the prequels or didn't like the sequels even, there's so much Star Wars out there that they could read. But for so many people, they don't want to delve into it. And maybe that's my problem. And I've said this before on many things. There comes a point when if you like something too much and you know too much about it, right? Things can't live up to it. So I'm unfortunately I can't pick what John
Yeah.
is really like
Yeah.
super into and passionate about and just knows a lot of, right?
But
So
I think,
if there
Andre,
was
it's
something-
generational thing too, because I think we talked about before is that when we talked about Rebels years ago, and we're like, people are like, where can I find it? And it wasn't accessible. But now on Disney Plus, you could say, watch it on Disney Plus, and we can you and I both agree it's the best. But now at least there's a way for people to do it without illegally streaming it or figuring it out. It was access. And even with the books, people don't read books anymore, unfortunately, unless they're Harry Potter. But again, it's about access. And I think that at least Disney Plus enables people to do it and catch up. So at least it's there for them, because it wasn't 5 years ago or when it first in Clone Wars, like the shows that you and I really love. And we both agree it's better than this.
But
it can't be the same.
unfortunately, I don't think people that are watching The Mandalorian, I don't think they're gonna deep dive and watch. anything else
you don't
or
need-
I missed Rebels. I had never heard great things about it, and because of Mandalorian, I went back and watched Rebels. So, and thank God.
Yeah,
It's
but did your
incredible.
wife watch it?
Rebels?
Yeah,
No, because it's too long of an investment.
yeah,
though.
right.
Not
And
because
same
of
thing
the,
with my wife. She watches Mandalorian, but doesn't care about anything else Star Wars. So maybe that's a bad example.
But the ne-
maybe,
but if the-
maybe we'll
but
have
if
to
the
ask
next thing
kids or other
comes-
people. But they're not Star Wars fan. They're just watching it because they
No.
They
No,
want
but she will
cooler
watch-
talk. They want to talk with somebody who else is talking.
No,
about
I think it's
But
just
she will
daunting
not-
about
she will
episodes.
watch the
yeah.
next thing though. It's just going back and saying, "Hey, do you want to invest in like 4 seasons of 20 episode seasons?" That's a little bit long, but definitely this is setting the stage for sure for next. And I wouldn't have to drag her to Galaxy's Edge as much as I would have before Mandalorian.
And I think,
that's a
Andre,
good
for
thing.
you and I, it's the same for Supernatural. If we watched it now and like you have to watch 15 seasons, forget about it. But we were there day one. So you're invested. You watched 5 seasons, 6 seasons, 8 seasons, like a weekly basis without you realizing 10 years, 15 years, you've watched 15 seasons of Supernatural.
Yeah, but that's a
And
big
it's
difference
daunting.
between a 20-minute cartoon of 4 seasons. than
But
15
nonetheless,
seasons
it's
of
still
Supernatural.
daunting to say, I
Like,
want you to
there's-
watch
I wouldn't
however
tell
many
anybody to
seasons of
watch
something.
15 seasons of Supernatural. Like
Yeah, there's a whole other podcast now.
A whole other podcast. So yeah, so at the end of the day, like Tim is a perfect example of doing it. Mike, did you watch Rebels when it first came out, or are you going to watch it after the fact?
No, I've watched Clone Wars and Rebels. I don't know. They're both great. I love that we're getting a mishmash of the lore from animated and live action. I think they're 2 different things though. Like some people will not watch animated just for the sheer fact that it's animated, right? They can't get into it for whatever reason. So I think there's that factor that plays into things too. And we're talking about wives. My wife will watch a little bit of it. When Amidala comes on there, she's like, oh,
Yeah.
So it's just different strokes for different folks, right? Different things reel people in. So
I think, Andre, from a generational shift, I think people of our generation are not going to watch cartoons because it's just something that, whether you're in it or not, but I think the younger generation who watch a lot of anime, who have used to watch cartoons as a medium, are going to embrace Rebels and embrace the shows more than something else. I think the ship has sailed. Someone that's not a millennial or anyone Gen X is not going to go back and watch a cartoon regardless of who's in it. It could be Keanu Reeves and they're like, I'm out. It's cartoon. But I think the next generation of kids who are watching, like for example, Blood of Zeus, I'm watching it, but they rebranded it as anime. Like, because anime is not a cartoon, anime is something different, and just the branding of it. So I think it's just a shift that things are going to go as we move forward. And I think as the people move forward the next 10 years, you are going to see a big influx of people talking about Rebels, because it's just people are used to it, and people are like, don't look down on the medium. It's just, I think the people you talk to that are older are like, well, cartoons are for kids. So I think that it's going to change versus in the next few years, and we're going to get the dialogue changed very quickly. So I think it's just, you got to wait, Andre. Your time will come, and we're going to get people are going to be like, man, I can't watch anything else besides Rebels. It's happening. It's just, it's just honestly, people's minds are set. Cartoons are for kids, and regardless of how good it is, you're not going to get people to change their minds. So I think we'll see in the future, but that's a whole other podcast. So this has been a really long one. I apologize. We got really heated at the end for Star Wars Mandalorian. It's going to continue to go each week. Yeah, as John's daughter is going in the background. So, John and Andre, where can they find you guys more on the interwebs and internets and in the, I'm going to say it for you, Andre, the desert of the real? Where can they find you?
All right, so they can find me at the store. We are in Markham, Ontario, 8601 Highway 7. That's Highway 7 in Warden. Super easy and convenient to get to. Lots of parking, lots of other things to do in the plaza. So if you want to come by and check us out, please do so. We've got COVID safety protocols, and now it's November, so we've got a lot of great stock and a lot of great gift ideas if you're doing, holiday season shopping. But more importantly, we've got a ton of stuff for you to definitely pass the time and enjoy your time at home during this winter season. So anything from like board games to models to miniature games to card games, graphic novels, and comic books, and if you're not into any of that stuff or you want to learn about that stuff, hit us up, come by the shop, see me, or you can hit up any of our social medias. John will let you know what those are and where to find us.
Yeah, so Heroes World Online on the Facebook, on the Instagram, on the YouTube, of course, and then anywhere you find your podcast, Heroes World Podcast. And if none of that works, then you can hit us up at sales.heroesworld@gmail.com.
Before I jump to Tim and Mike, just for reference for Rob, you can find him on Instagram at Rob Gadet. He co-hosts a show with Joey and John, Sidekicks, on a weekly basis where they discuss news of the day. Half an hour zipping through all the news that happens. So if you want to see more of that, it's also available on the same ways that you find this podcast. Mike, can people find you on social media? I don't know, so I'm asking out loud. Where are you accessible, or are you a Mandalorian that's hiding underneath
Mike's
the
got a
sewers?
wicked Instagram account.
So yeah.
yeah, you can hit me up on Instagram. It's just my name at Michael Kazaboski. Toys, action figures, toy photography, artwork, and all kinds of other pop culture stuff.
Awesome. Thank you. And John will put all that stuff on the bottom of this YouTube clip. So we'll do that. Tim, where can they find you?
XX_Timbo_Slice_XX on Instagram. And thanks for having me, guys. It was an awesome day and good talk, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you for coming in, Tim. I apologize for cutting you off, but I knew you were going to go on and it's going to start another kerfuffle. So it's going to go on. But it's great. And Mike, a pleasure to have you here. I look forward to having you again on. Thanks for handling the madness that is and sitting through patiently and not acting like a child like Rob, who just went off the rails. This is the same reason I'm like, again, we call him the Prince of Mischief for a reason. He clearly is a 13-year-old trapped in a man's body. So here we go. I love you, Rob, but geez Louise. John, Andre, thank you as always.
Yes. Quick shout out to Jimmy Chung, who just had his baby boy last night. So Connor Clark.
Is it Connor Kent? Connor Kent.
That's awesome.
Connor Kent Chung. Yeah.
Connor Kent Chung.
Yeah.
Mazel tov to you, Jimmy.
Cool.
As the join of the Chung clan. So it's great. Happy for you. Congratulations. And we look forward to seeing him with bags under his eyes on the next podcast in the future. But thank you, everyone. Thank you, Rob. Your good times out there. Thanks for not listening to any of the questions. And your final grade is a 5. Thank you, everyone. See you later. Bye.